Hi, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Bitch Up. How y'all bitches doing? Are we
Came to
summering
find
her?
love. I was kidding.
No, wait, no. What is this song? Oh, because it reminds me a lot of the Ellie Goulding song when she did the ones for what is it
Love
called?
me like you do. Love.
Yeah,
Is that
every
what?
time because the song goes, "If you love me like you say you do." Like, have
Yeah.
you heard it?
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So, because it's like,
Do-do-do, do.
"Do-do-do-do." Yeah.
Yeah,
I actually like this one better than last year's.
yeah.
And so, like, the jingle has been stuck in my head, and it
Every
always
time I
triggers,
hear it,
like,
I think it's a Mariah Carey song, and I'm like, "Oh, they got, like, a little Mariah Carey
I can
inspired,
see it.
a little Ellie Goulding style, like, it's meshed."
Yeah, so it's like, I think they did a good job with this year's song, or at least I've
Mhm.
very much enjoyed it, and I think
Yeah,
it catched on quicker and better than
quickly.
last year's, yeah, at
Yeah.
least for me, but
I think I saw last year's song being used in a commercial, and I'm like, "What do you do?"
it was.
"I
I
don't know. What
heard
do you
it too.
do here?"
I saw that, and all I can imagine was Huda and her little dance. That's what
Mhm.
I that's what the memories that trigger when I hear the little jingle from last year's.
Yeah.
But
Well, other than
yeah.
that, do you have any bitch up moments for this week?
Yes. So my bitch up moment this week is that can I say we? 'Cause we
Yeah.
went. Oh, okay.
It was us.
Yeah.
We went
Um,
together.
so this is a fun bitch moment because Lucy and I did it together, and obviously Lucy has her own bitch moment that she'll fill you guys in shortly. But we went to it was called a woman empowerment self defense seminar that was hosted by Gracie Jiu Jitsu University. They have in one of their locations, the Torrance one. Lucy and I signed up for it and we went along with a bunch of other ladies that were trying to learn how to beat up men. No, I'm kidding. But to like
How to
learn
defend ourselves.
how to defend ourselves. And yeah, it was so much fun. So I really enjoyed it and we learned a lot. I was practicing on my brother and my trying
No,
to teach
not you
him the
practicing on
choking.
your brother.
Yeah, it was funny because when I was trying to show him the choking one, I was like, "Okay, choke me." And then he looks at me and then I was like, "Okay, well, then don't choke me, but go like this." So I'm like this, right? I'm going like this to him and he goes he's just like, "No, no." Like he wouldn't let me. And I'm like, "No, I'm not going to choke you. I'm going to show you like the other level." So I'm just trying to put my hands, like we did it.
Yeah.
Like the level 2 version. And he was like, "No, no." And I was like, "Okay, this is a trust exercise. I'm not gonna choke you." He's like, "Yeah, you are." And I'm like, "No, I'm not." So then,
Now your
I was like,
brother's scared of
I'm
you.
like looking at him dead in the eye, and I was like, "This is a trust exercise." So then I taught
Trust
him.
me.
I'm like, "You're like, no." And then yeah, we did it, and then he was being like a little jerk about it because he was just like, "Well, obviously," he's like, "I could have fucking taught you that. I used to do jujitsu with my friends in the garage and blah blah blah. You just had a bunch of dudes fucking hella sweating," and I was like, "That sounds very homoerotic." I'm just kidding. And then he's like, "You should have done Muay Thai." And I was like, "Where the fuck am I gonna find a Muay Thai place?" And I'm just like,
Mhm.
that's besides the point. Anyway, it inspired me to actually sign up for like their
Yeah.
actual
They're
classes, their paid
mhm.
membership, if you will. So I will be learning more and teaching you guys more at some point, hopefully.
I know.
Yeah.
I'm like, "Can I go watch you like your parent?"
Yeah,
Just
she's like my mom.
like a little, like, show mom, would a
Yeah, and
stage
she's gonna be
mom.
recording what I do.
And I'm like, "Give her more time on the mat."
Yeah, I think one of the things that surprised me just, like, once we learned some of these techniques, and obviously we're learning very base level versions of it,
Mhm.
um, it surprised me how, like, oh, like, this is something that I think would be fun for me to kind of, like, learn how to be more, I don't wanna say, like, in control of my body, but I think be more, like, aligned with my body and be able to kinda, like, learn these maneuvers and have more confidence in my body in a sense.
Mhm.
And when I say confidence, I don't mean like, oh, I like look better. It's more of just like, I don't know, like I don't even know how to explain it. But that's why
Like
I
a
felt like
base. I
I
feel
feel
like
like
the
that's why
word
I felt like
of
alignment. Yeah.
yeah. I was gonna
That's
say, I
where
feel like the word during the seminar was base,
hmm,
like basing yourself, and I think that's
yeah.
kind of like what you wanna do. It's like you not necessarily physically being confident because, like you said, it's not like a visual thing, it's more so of
Yeah.
like a
feeling more of
self.
empowered within
Yeah.
myself. Like, I think we've always talked about how, like, our bodies are like our temples literally and how we should take care of them. And but I think part of that is also
Trusting your body to do the
learning your
things it needs to
body.
do. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
learning your body and feeling more empowered with it and stuff. So I think that like that's what kind of inspired me. Like, oh, this could be something fun that I could explore. It's a fun journey for me and my body, and I'm looking forward to it. So yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, I'm
that's
actually very excited that you joined the
mhm.
classes. I think
Yeah,
especially because of the physical demand of it too, I think
yes.
it is a good bitch up moment and something that I'm happy you're exploring, especially.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I was like, I'll be able to release stuff. I'll be able to feel like like also like if I'm ever in a situation where again I need to beat someone. So no, I'm
Mhm.
just kidding. Then I need to be like in
I
self-defense
like
mode.
how
I
in your
feel more
mind you're just like, "I'm
empowerment.
gonna beat someone up," instead of like,
You know
"I'm
what?
going to
This
defend
is
myself."
wait, you know how you know what's funny? You know when we were like when we were doing like the first not the first exercises, but I think it was when we got there and she was talking about like what are you guys feeling and speaking to your younger selves. And I was just speaking to my Ninja Turtle self. And I was just like, this is so what is it called? Like my
You're
little
living Eggshell's, like, dream of
yeah,
becoming, like,
yes.
a Ninja
Of
Turtle or
learning
just like
martial
a
arts, yes.
yeah,
So I was just like, "Wow, this is so, like, full circle." So I'm excited for it. We'll see how this journey goes. So it's
yeah.
fun beating each other up too. No, I'm kidding. But it
I know,
was
I
fun
feel like
to
we
do
got
that.
called out. I was kidding. They're like, I can
You
tell
guys
somebody
some
are
of you
is really
guys
good
are just
friends."
ready to beat each other up. You guys have a lot of pent up
Rage.
I know, it was so funny to try to get into character too, because it's like I would be like the perpetrator, and so I'd be like, "Come here, little girl," and then Lucy would break character and start laughing. So
No,
it was
I
just
feel
so
like
funny.
my mind always went to Mortal Kombat. I'm like, "Come here," like,
Yeah.
those, like, lines, like, that's where my mind went. I'm like, I'm in my
Yeah.
Mortal Kombat era right now.
Yeah, and honestly, I think also I didn't get to bring this up earlier when I was talking about the whole body thing, but I think for me this is also really special because I did want to take it when I was in college, but I like psyched myself out because of my because of my disability with my arm. So then but this time I was kind of like, "Oh, like I would love to again, see what my body is capable of doing
Mhm.
given that I do have that shortcoming disability or whatever, like how I can maneuver around it because my whole life that's what it's been. I've been living with it and I just get by learning how to work around it and stuff. So it'll be interesting to see because I feel like martial arts it's always been very controlled and structured movements. So I obviously have limitations there. So it'll be interesting to see how some of those transitions work out with me.
But yeah, I'm excited for you.
Thank
And
you.
again, we'll record her whole journey going through it. We'll do a before and after and see how much she's improved.
Yes, and full disclosure, I'm not starting until September because summer is upon me. It's my birthday month. I have so much things to do. No kidding. So that's why I had to push it out, which was great. I feel like they're very flexible with that too.
Well, my bitch up moment has to do with July, 4th of July specifically. So obviously the last time we left you guys, we recorded literally the week of 4th of July. So by the
Yes.
time you guys see this, it's like way after, like a lot of shit has happened since then, obviously.
Yeah.
But we went to my godmother's house for 4th of July since my parents were away. They went to Mexico to Guadalajara actually to go visit my grandfather and they got to enjoy a little bit of the World Cup shenanigans. Literally the weekend that Mexico lost. You guys, we've been through
So
it.
it's your
Like
dad's fault. No
a whole
kidding.
bunch. Literally, that's what I told my dad. I'm like, you should have come straight home to watch the game here. You shouldn't have been out there partying with all those people. But no,
Yeah.
it's so funny because I'm like, a lot of shit happened from 4th of July until now, obviously until our women empowerment thing. It's like Mexico lost, Norway lost, Colombia lost. Like
Mhm.
shit just
All of
started
our
going.
all of our like favorites after Mexico left, like it was just like boom, boom.
Everybody's done, and all the party is over. Now it's literally the world. I'm like, why are we still having the World Cup at this point? Like, no one gives a shit anymore.
Yeah.
Like, all the teams that, like, Mexico or Mexico fans were excited to see were like, "Oh, yeah." So now everybody's like, I guess England is, like, the next the
It's our
next
last
yeah, last resort. I
saving
don't
grace,
know.
I guess. Like I Well, actually, I think I'm going for France. I would if France makes it to the final, I think
Well,
I
it's
would
because
have to vote
England's
for
going against Argentina. I think that's why. Or is it Spain?
Oh,
I forget.
right.
I forget who
No,
they're
I
going
thought it was
against.
Spain that was cool. Who
Is
knows? We'll
it?
find
Oh,
out.
okay. I don't know, I forget. Anyways,
We have no
so
idea what's going on right now. After
yeah,
Mexico went
I
stopped,
tapped out. I tapped out
mentally
after
checked
Norway.
out.
Anyways, so we're doing 4th of July, watching the
Yeah.
fireworks. Her neighborhood does a lot of fireworks, like, people, like, do the big ones outside, like, there's different little
Mm,
sections in the neighborhood.
yeah.
Everybody's outside. My sister had just gone inside to change Theo, and we saw a big firework go off. I don't know if it just didn't go high up enough, but an ember fell and it was still burning, and we saw it fall into a neighbor's backyard that, like, if I'm looking at you, like, literally the house in front, like, we could see into their, backyard, and we both looked at each other, we're like, "That was still, like, pretty alive, for a firework
Yeah,
ember."
like, they're like, "That doesn't seem safe."
Yeah, that didn't look like it, like, went out in time, so
Yeah.
literally, maybe 2 or 3 fireworks later, we just see a glow coming out of the backyard, and we're like, "Is that
Fire!
fire,
Fire!
or is that the lights from the other house?" Because the house had, like, those big gold lights, so we weren't sure if it was, like, just the glow because it was getting darker, and then we're like, "No, that's a fire," and we literally sprinted, like, us 3, me, my cousin Bree, and my cousin Romina, we, like, sprinted out to the house because it was right there, and we're, like, trying to figure out which house it was, and we can see into the backyard where the fire had already started,
Mhm.
and we're, like, knocking on the door, we're like, we see cars in the parkway, and I'm like, "Someone has to be home unless they're not," and we're like, "Shit, nobody's home." Like, we were knocking on the door, we're trying to figure out how to get into their backyard because their backyard door that leads into it had a lock on it, so you couldn't open it. So we're over here trying to find a way to get in and not break her door because it was, like, a very weak wood. Like, it was just a really old door, so we're like, "We can hop over it, but it's gonna be hard because it hurts, 1, and 2, it's like, well, the more pressure we put on it, the
Did
easier it'll
anybody call the
break.
fire department?
No, yeah, so we're already
Okay.
here, like, my godmother was out there with us, so she was calling the fire department, my
Okay,
brother was
good.
calling, and then, we had already as soon as we saw it
You
come
guys
up,
were
like,
just
we
actioning.
sprinted.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then my godmother went around to the other house because her friend and neighbor lived, I think, right across where that h house was going on fire, so she was knocking on their door to let them know, but they weren't home. Anyways, we're over here trying to figure out ho if someone's in there, they're
Yeah.
calling fire department, we're over here trying to figure out how to get in, and we're trying to figure out where the water hose is. Like, our assumption is there's a water hose in the backyard. We can use a water hose to put the fire out. And then by the time we get to the other side where we find the hose, the other neighbor, the next door neighbor, comes out and he's like, "Do you guys live here?" And I'm like, "No." Everybody that was coming out thought that we lived there, and they're like, "Oh, you guys are out here. Great! Like, your house is
Like,
on fire." We're like,
"No,
"No, this
we're
isn't our
we're
house."
citizens like you guys."
Yeah, we're like, "We don't know who lives here." We knocked, nobody answered, so we assume no one's home. "Is it
Yeah.
okay if we use your hose?" And he's like, "Yeah, I'm gonna go to the backyard." And, like, he had a pool, and he's like, "I'll, like, put water and, like, bring the hose over."
Like,
I'm like, "Okay,
yeah.
cool." And then my brother-in-law, Matt, had got in there by the time we were, like, over here getting the hose, and we ended up putting, like, a garbage can, um, to, like, just jump on and, like, go over. And so, I think my cousin was trying to hop on, and then Matt came, and then he hopped over, and we're like, "Okay, cool." Went around, put the hose over, and I was, like, watering it, and then just threw it over. I see the door opened, and there was this lady in there, a poor lady, poor girl, like, she was just, like, so, shocked, I think, mostly,
Was she
and
old?
no, she seems like around our age, if anything, or, like, a little
And she was
older.
at the house?
Yeah, she was in her house, she was watching a movie, like, apparently, and she was, like, in
Oh,
shock
but
that
she had
this
no
was
idea.
happening.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so we had already called the fire department by then, and they're like, "Everybody in the house needs to get out." And so I told her, I'm like, "Okay, you need to get out of the house." And I was trying to go into the backyard, so I figured I would just open the backyard door, and she's like, "No, it's locked. You can't open it." And I'm like, "What do you mean it's locked?" I thought it was just like the lock and
Mhm.
go, and I think that she had like a lock where you can't open it either way from the inside or outside, and I'm like, "Why would you lock your door? Like, that's your only other exit." And there was no other way to get out. So I was like, okay, so I can't go through the backyard to help Matt. So then I'm like, well, you need to get out of the house. And so by the time we get out, I'm over here helping Matt with the another hose. He found her other hose, threw that over. The neighbor's helping Matt on the other side from like his side. And then there's, I guess, the neighbor's sister, wife, I don't know who it is, came up to us. She's like, "Do you guys live here?" And I'm like, "No." I don't know where the girl went, and she's like, "Oh, like, I saw the fire. I was the only one in the pool when I saw the fire on the side, so I got scared." And she's like, "I went to go asked this family or whoever that were outside still blowing fireworks, like, the fireworks are still going.
Shit.
I went to ask
That
them if they can call the cops because she's like, "I didn't have my phone on me." So I asked them if they can call the cops because there's a fire going on, and they were like, "No." And then this other girl was like, "I can go get my phone," and apparently she said someone told her, "Don't do that." And they're still blowing up fireworks, and they're like, well, she's like, "Well, can you
well,
guys come
because are
help?"
they at fault?
No, they weren't at fault, but I think they thought that that's what she was saying, but she was just like, "Hey, there's a fire, can you guys come help?" And they
Yeah.
were just like, no, minding their business, still doing fireworks. My aunt had already told the other people who were at fault, like, "Hey, you guys started a fire by accident." And they were like, "Oh, shit," and then they came around to where we were standing initially, and they saw, they're like, "Oh, shit," and they got scared and kinda, like, stopped, but it was the other people that were like, "We're not gonna help." And I was like, "That's crazy that they said that they weren't
That's
going to
messed
help."
up. That's like
Yeah.
bad
I'm like,
neighbor
imagine I'm like, "You
etiquette.
guys are just 2 houses down, like, if this fire or if we hadn't seen
Catches?
it in time or if
Yeah.
it's we can't control it, like, your house could be
Your
next."
shit's yeah,
And I
especially
was
if they
telling
have all
Matt
these fireworks too, like, that could just
they're
it could
still
just
going, and they're
yeah.
like and so, apparently, the lady, instead she went back into her house and locked the door, and I'm like, "I told you to get out." I'm
What?
like, "What are you doing?" And I told Matt this, and Matt was like, "Yeah, like, I was in the back trying to put out this fire," and I'm like, "We need buckets," and I'm like, hitting the window, and she's just, like, on the phone talking to somebody, she's like, "Yeah, they're outside putting out the fire." He's like, "We need buckets," and, like, she was just, like, not processing, I guess.
Damn, that's
And
crazy.
yeah, so after all that, we were able to put the fire out. The police came with their little, like, fire hydrants and whatnot. It was, like, 4 people, and they're like, "Oh, the fire's out?" And we're like, "Yeah, the fire's out, but you should probably go check to make sure we put it out correct." And they're like, "Yeah, we're gonna go check." So they go to check, do their little thing, and they're like, "Yeah, the fire's out, blah, blah, blah." And then the lady's still, like, obviously, like, perplexed, and I wouldn't I can see why it caught on fire as soon as we got there in the first place because the grass is really high. Like, it was up to, like, my waist, if anything. So I was
Oh,
like,
shit.
"That's why it caught because it was a super high grass." And the lady next door, she's like, "Yeah, they're never outside, so it's like they don't really
Keep
upkeep with
yeah.
their backyard or they're rarely home, so that's probably why it caught." And I was telling him I'm surprised the tree didn't catch because it was so close it could have caught and got into the other house, and he's like, "Honestly, like, the backyard fence was also made out of wood, so I'm surprised that didn't catch either." But
Mhm.
yeah, so that was my 4th of
So
July.
you saved a backyard,
We
someone's
caught
home,
a yeah, we
and your
caught a fire.
neighborhood. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's not even my neighborhood. That's what I was telling
Or
my
your
sister. I was
grandma's
like,
neighborhood,
"No,
right?
it's not my grandma's, it was
Oh,
my
your
aunt's."
yes? Oh, okay.
Yeah. And I was telling my sister, I'm like, what is the possibility of this happening? Or, like, if we hadn't gone, because we usually don't go over there. So I'm
Right.
like, if we hadn't gone, would this have happened, or would it have happened anyways, and it just wouldn't have been caught on time because no one
No
saw it, you know
one
what I
yeah,
mean?
no one was pilas like that, and
Like,
even though the
no one was in that direction facing it because everybody was, like, on the opposite side or on this
but
side, like, no
even,
one
like,
was
for
looking.
example, the girl that said that she saw it and, like, she wasn't able to do much because she didn't have her phone, people weren't willing to help and things like that too,
And by the time she saw it, like, the flames were already high and we were already doing shit.
right? Yeah.
So, I'm like, if she would've seen it on time, either way, like, no one I don't know if anybody would've jumped over to do anything, you know what I mean? So,
It was
yeah,
one of those things where you guys were at the right place at the right time and were able to
yeah,
intervene.
yeah,
So,
so
like, you saved a life.
that was my bitch up moment.
You saved
Shout out to
houses.
my cousins and shout out to my brother-in-law for acting and bitching up and putting out fires and shit, because
Yeah,
that shit was scary, not gonna lie. I don't think I ever imagined myself in a position like that, and I always
really.
feel that I'm, like, the freeze person where I'm like, "What do we do?" You know what I mean? So, it's like,
Yeah.
the fact that we still were able to do something and, like, think on our feet. It's like, "Okay, let's do this," and, like, work together. I'm like, I'm glad that we were with the right people, I think, because sometimes if you're not with the
Yes.
right people, like, shit can go
Everybody's
and
freaking out,
yeah,
no one's doing
exactly.
anything. Oh my
Yeah,
god. Yeah, I think you guys were there at the right time, and like you said, it was the right people that were able to be quick on their feet and action, and like you said, contain it before it got out of hand,
yeah.
especially because like, if there was so much wood and just the conditions of the backyard sounds like it is an ideal place to kinda catch fire. Yeah, I feel like as I've grown older, the allure of fireworks, especially on 4th of July, and you lighting them
Mhm.
up yourself has definitely diminished. Just like there's just so much things at risk that is just like, I'll just watch them at Disneyland.
Yeah,
I'll just watch
same,
them.
yeah.
I'll
I
watch
don't
a
like
fireworks show, you know, I like, we really don't partake in fireworks anymore, and they're also so expensive,
they
and
are, and they're so annoying because even people here in my neighborhood will be putting off fireworks, like, in
mm,
February. I'm like, "Bitch, what are we celebrating?
same.
Like, what are you
Or when
doing?"
or, like, if the Dodgers win, the Lakers win, and
Yeah.
if it's the
I'm like
finals, that's how you know. If there's fights, yeah, fireworks will go off in our neighborhood year round too, and then they'll do the really annoying ones, the one that sound like bombs too,
yeah.
which are so annoying. But yeah. Well, congratulations, you earned yourself your fire badge.
For real. But yeah, so that was my
Scouts
Bridget
honor.
moment.
Yeah.
Is it?
I don't know how it goes,
I don't know how it goes
Scouts
either.
honor.
I was in a Girl Scout, sorry.
Do you guys not do a fire one for Girl Scouts? Like, was it, like, gender based? Is that how
I
that
don't
would
know,
work?
I don't know, I said I wasn't in Girl Scout, so I don't know.
Oh, I thought you said you were in Girl Scouts, I'm sorry. I thought I
Yeah,
heard
I
you
weren't,
say
I'm not.
no, I thought I heard you say you were in Girl
Oh,
Scouts, like,
no.
trying to say, like, "Oh, that's, like, the Boy Scouts type of thing." That's why I was like,
No.
"Oh, like, how do you think that works?" But anyway,
Well, aside from fires and self-defense and beating people
yeah.
up, we are going to be talking about the Love Island finale and everything leading up to that.
Yeah,
Obviously,
that
we
we
had an episode
missed.
before where we were reacting, I think, like, from, like, the
Initial
first half,
thoughts. Yeah.
like, through episode 9 or 10 or something, and now it's just a
Yeah.
little bit after that, Casa More, all the shit that's happened since, so
Yeah.
yeah, so we're gonna be talking about Love Island. How fun, how interesting. That's
Yeah,
why
we're
we
gonna
had that whole
close.
conversation about the music. I will say, like, I feel like a lot of their money either went into the, getting permission to use certain music because they had, like, really good music
They
this
did.
season, like, they were getting bops, and I'm like, "How much did you guys pay them to be able to use their songs?" I'm like, "And
Their
this is why we didn't have dates because you guys were using it in
their
post-production."
budget was certainly budgeting, I will say that. Like, you definitely saw a change of, like, budget from this year to last year,
Yeah.
and just like you said, you saw where the budget went versus other places. But I'm not mad, and I thought it was cool how they did, like, at the end where they had all of their songs that were featured, the artists
Mhm.
that little montage where the artists were like, "Oh, like, huge fans, blah, 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 this, and that," so,
I
yeah.
thought that was interesting. I'm like, What's happening?" But that's a good point. I didn't realize that those were all artists that had a song played
Yeah.
throughout the season, so that makes sense,
Sierra,
yeah.
Lizzo, Somber, yeah.
Yeah. Demi.
Mhm.
I liked to kiss and kiss.
Yeah, and I think they did it yeah, no, I think that they did a really good job. Well, where did we leave off? I wanna say
Well, I think we had left out where Beatriz had just
Sol
left the
yeah,
villa,
Beatriz
right?
had left. Had Sol left already? No, right? But she was
No.
going through it
Yeah.
'cause if we had the pie episode where she was like, "Fuck you guys." No, just kidding. Yeah.
Yeah. I will say I got a little bored towards the end. I was just like, "Can we just wrap this up? I'm over
Like,
this season." We already
we
know
already
who's
know who the
winning.
we already know
Like,
who the
these last
finalists
3
are.
episodes could have just been 1 episode in my eyes. I'm like, let's just
Yeah.
go." Like, why are we dragging our feet? I will say, though, I getting into Casa Amor, I would say that I usually don't really enjoy the Casa Amor episodes because I don't think that specifically the Casa guys are, like they don't match the girlies in the house,
Yeah.
I feel, usually, but this is one of the first seasons where I'm like, this should have been the OG cast. Like, the boys with Casa More girls and then the girls with the Casa guys, to me, made more sense
Okay.
than the original cast. Because as we discussed in the last episode, I'm like, these people don't like each other. And that's why there's no exploring because no one fucking likes each other. No one's attracted to each other like that. And then they're also being like, this is my man. This is for so and so, and this is for so and so. So once you're like, saying
They're
this is
being very
this person's
strategic.
connection, it's like, oh, you can't talk to them, even if you find them attractive, and I think that was the issue with this cast is there was no attraction in some areas, but where there was, it's like, "Oh, I can't talk to
Pursue them.
them because this is so and so's person." You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
when
or,
Caleb
they're
came
already
in,
spoken for.
yeah, they're like, "Oh, that's Kenzie's man. That's for Kenzie, that's for Kenzie." So I'm like, "Oh, when you're saying this person's for Kenzie, then I feel like the girlies in their minds were like, I can't explore that because I already have a connection." And then
And I'm
Caleb
also
is
good
for
friends
Kenzie.
with Kenzie.
Yeah, not even friends, just like, oh, like, girl code, but,
Yeah,
like,
because
you guys
Kenzie
aren't
has been
friends.
moping around how no one has chosen her, so
Yeah,
finally somebody came in that would be, like, up her type and you would think would well, yeah, he did pick her. He came in with the
yeah,
intention of coming in with her. I mean, sorry, of
yeah.
pursuing her. Yeah.
But then you have Gall, for instance, when he was having a conversation with Jen, and he was like, "I feel like none of the girls wanna talk to me because they say I'm your connection," and she's like,
I
"Yeah,
was like,
that's
"That's
how it
because you're
works
not
here."
very pretty and you're not very funny." No, just
Not even
kidding.
that though, but I'm like, I kinda get what he was coming from, because if Jen is saying, like, "I don't get why he's trying to talk to other people," and I'm like, "It's Love Island, girly, that's how the shit works." But I feel Gal is telling Jen, like, "The reason the girls aren't talking to me is because they don't want a problem with you." And you're saying here that I really like Gal. So if you were out and telling the girls, like, "Hey, I'm cool if you guys wanna have a conversation with him," like, yes, I do really like him, but it's also it's fair to explore, you know what I mean? So I think that's where Gaul was getting at when he was talking to Jen. I do think that the whole conversation of that, I was a little confused with some of that conversation that they were having,
They were
because 'cause I'm like,
both confused. I was like,
yeah,
"What
I
is
was just like,
happening
"What is
here?"
happening here?" Yeah. But I think there's just a little miscommunication in the way I think Gal that's what Gal was trying to say. He was like, "Hey, like, I do like you, but I do want to explore because it is Love Island." And she was also like, "Yeah, you can." But also she's going to tell the girls like, "Oh my god, like, I really like Gal. I don't get why he's exploring, like, I really
Yeah,
like him."
or why
And
he
so it's
wants
kinda
to explore.
yeah, and it's
Yeah.
giving you guys shouldn't talk to him because I really like him, so I don't want him to explore, you
Yeah,
know?
and I think to your point too, well, it's like the girls weren't even interested in Gaul either because they had already
Mhm.
locked in with
As
their
far as
people, like,
we
they had
know, we don't know
chosen.
that, but
Yeah.
we don't know that,
No,
right?
but after Casa Amor, when they made their selections of, like, "Oh, like, who are you coupling up with?" So people were kinda, like, holding on to those things,
Mhm.
right? Well, I mean, obviously, Anaya was vulnerable, but, like, Esta Melanie decided to
Well,
recouple with
Kenzie too.
Sincere
Kenzie
and all this
recoupled, and
stuff.
she's like, "I'm still going to explore," and I'm like,
She
"Yes,
yeah,
girl, explore."
she was probably, like, the only one that was actually legitimately exploring the entire time. Everybody else was kinda like they picked a cookie, they bit it, and they were like, "This is my cookie," you know? And they weren't open to exploring afterwards.
Yeah, and that's honestly, this cast pissed me off a little bit because 'cause I'm so tired of hearing the word lust, honestly, like, I'm so over it, and I'm just like, "What is with this word of lust? Like, where are we getting lust from?" You know what I mean? They're like,
It's
"Oh,
the
you're
religious
lustful, that was very lustful," and I'm like, "You're o
Are
over
these
here
people
also."
Christians? No, I'm just
I don't
kidding.
know, but I think
We did have a
Trinity
lot of Southern folk in there.
but Trinity kinda threw me off a little bit because she's like, "Oh, you're being lustful," but I'm like, "This is also the same girl that was telling" what's his name? Bryce, that she wanted a little bit more affection and a little bit, like, more physicality, and I'm like, "Is that not lust then?" You know what I mean? Like, you're technically lusting after this man to lust after you, but you're calling out other people for being just as lustful or lustful in general, so I'm like, "What is your definition of that? What does that look like to you?" And,
Well,
like
as we learned recently in her whole exchange with Kada about the whole situationship thing, like, everybody
yeah,
had different definitions of things, and there's
yeah.
different contexts. There's a lot of nuance in the way they use lust and lustful.
Lust, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was also confused with that conversation 'cause they were pissing me off with the whole exclusivity conversation too, and I'm like, "These people are young, their definition of shit is also very, like"
It's also different than our generation's, definition, I wanna say.
but I don't think it's necessarily different, I just don't know if the I don't
If
know
they
what it is,
comprehend it
where
because 'cause they're like
yeah, I don't know if there's
they're not
comprehension
mature
then.
enough for it, you think?
I mean, I get in the terms of, like, Love Island where I agree with Bryce, I agree with Zach on the whole exclusive thing. I think that it's a very different to be in Love Island and say that you're closed off or exclusively just seeing each other. I can see how there's confusion there because 'cause they're like, "That's all you guys have been doing," like, none of you really explored, which I wouldn't say they didn't explore, I think they were open to, like, talking to other people, but they just other people didn't really, like, catch their attention like that enough to be like, "Oh, like, I really like this person, I
Well,
really
Zach
like this
did, but
person."
his girl left.
But
I
I
was really
honestly
curious to see how that was gonna pan out or, like, how much more he would have generally explored that had the girl not been removed.
I don't think he was going to pick her ever. Like, I never got that from him. I think he was pretty
Yeah,
dead
I
set
mean, I
on,
don't know
like,
about picking, but, like, in terms of exploring more, if the girl was there a longer time. I can see him not picking her either, but, like, in terms of him actually giving it a shot of, like, "Let me explore the connection," because it seemed like he was trying to, like, throw himself into it and just, like, for the experience because that's
I
what
know,
you're
but we
supposed to
saw
do.
early on that he wasn't for it though. Like, so that's to me, I'm like, that was more than enough. Like, he did explore, he gave himself an opportunity to explore, and he made up his mind pretty quickly. This isn't it. And so I'm like, okay, that's done. So when people were throwing in his face, like, oh, well, he didn't get the chance to bring her back. I'm like, he wasn't going to bring her back. Like, the stuff that we did see, we could tell he
Based
wasn't
on what
going
you
to.
s based
Yeah,
on what
boss,
you
but
saw, that's,
yeah.
like, your impression that he wasn't gonna bring
Yeah,
her
he
back.
wasn't going to, like, he made up his mind pretty quickly that he wasn't going to, and I'm like,
Yeah.
"Alright, cool." So, but I'm like, the rules in Love Island are a little different, so I can see it's like you guys are exclusive here, but I'm like, the real world is completely different. There's a lot of things that you as a couple have not yet experienced, like, the long distance thing is going to be a huge impact for them, whether
It
people like
sounded
to
like
say
he
or not.
was it sounded though like he was ready to relocate for her. Like he's like, "I'll
I'm
go
sure he
wherever you go." And I was like, "Of course,
and
because who the fuck wants to be in England? Yeah, you wanna be in the States, sir." I was
well,
like,
calm down.
I was like, "Is he
But
using
he
this
his
as an
family has a business.
opportunity for a green card?" I was just like, "Oh, interesting,
No, but
interesting."
I think it's different because I'm like,
But
he also
Charlie
has a
did.
business. Well, yeah, but they have a family business at home, so I'm like, there's a lot of we don't know what he does for the family business, right?
Right.
As far as we know, like, he might have a
I
little bit more
I
in
I
than
do think that he was very, like, forward in him being like his intentions were to, like, be here after the villa and, like,
no,
"I'll
yeah,
go where you
after.
go," and stuff like
But that
that,
was
yeah,
after they had the discussion of exclusivity. I'm talking, like, during the conversation and what people were saying, especially, like, their friends.
which
They're like, "Oh,
people
so you guys are in a situationship,"
oh, we're talking
like
about
Trinity
situationship,
and
okay.
them, and I understand why Kita felt disrespected or not disrespected, but hurt.
She felt away, yeah,
Yeah, because she's like, "You guys are supposed to be my friends, you guys are supposed to be happy for us," and I understand that Bryce and Trinity are on, like, on a completely different level, but I
mhm.
also think, like, yeah, sure, maybe they dive into these things, but,
Not everybody moves
like,
that
not
way.
everybody moves that way, and
Yeah,
so and again, this kinda shows how young Trinity is and, like, her way of thinking things, like, in her mind, like, a situationship is, like, stupid because like, you might as well be boyfriend and girlfriend, but I'm like, there's a lot of optics in that, first of all, and it's like, now you're exclusively dating each other, like, there is no potential of exploring in the island, and then also that means when you get out, it
yeah,
means, like, we know that we're seeing each other exclusively, so if you start dating other people or seeing other people, it's an issue, right?
right, that's the
Um,
boundary that's drawn usually when it comes to
yeah.
that.
So I was very confused with that whole conversation because I was like, "What are you guys saying?" Like, and then people were shitting on Zach, because 'cause they're like, "Oh, he does not like her," and I'm like, "You guys are
I
projecting a
think
lot."
I think he just moves differently, obviously. I didn't get him. Like I said, he definitely was not my cup of tea. I think when it came to Kata's response to the girls, like I definitely get where she felt underwhelmed and kind of just like, well, like I thought you guys would be more excited for me because as much as she and Zach have been locked in since almost like day one, their journey has definitely been different, right? And I was almost like, "Oh, I wonder if she felt like them saying that sort of like not necessarily validated, but she kind of kinda like shed light into some of the things that she was feeling insecure about their relationship. So maybe that's why it also kinda triggered her to the point where she was like really emotional about it. But who knows? Like I said, at the end of the day, they have moved very differently than everybody else, but that's because they're 2 different people, I think.
Hmm.
And I
Well, I
was
think
just
it's
like
because Kate is also very competitive, like, her and Zach are very competitive, so
their
we see that.
egos were definitely there,
Yeah,
yeah.
so I do think it was more a source of, like, I think Kate obviously knows what she has with Zach, and I do think that they both feel that they are the better couple amongst the islanders because they were
Yeah.
longer together, and obviously there's a lot of things that we didn't see about their relationship because of the
Yeah.
way they were edited, and then the
That
way that some
too, that's another
other
thing.
islanders that have left the islands were talking about their relationship, and they're like, "No, they're actually, like, really good together," and so, I think for me, Family Day really cemented my thoughts on Zach and, like, my original opinion about him because I always thought Zach gave, um he was insecure, but he definitely gave, like, little brother insecure
Yeah,
because
You could tell that he's
You
always been living in Charlie's shadow,
yeah.
and it felt like this was sort of not necessarily a personal vendetta, but for him, it was a moment for him to really step into his own and step outside of that shadow and, like,
Mhm.
prove to himself something, like, it felt like he had something to prove. Yeah.
I yeah, and you know what's funny? I think him saying that he wasn't into blondes was supposed to be a joke in a way that
You
we
think
didn't
so?
catch. Because when Family Day came and I was like, "That's so funny." I'm like, "Charlie does like blondes, and he was fucked over by a blonde." So I'm like, maybe that's why Zach is like, "I'm not into blondes," but it was supposed to be like a little like, if you know, you know vibes because his brother got fucked over by a blonde. It's not I don't know. That's why I
I
was
feel like
like,
that could be a stretch, but I mean, I wouldn't put it past him. I mean, he
well,
definitely
I
had a
think just
unique
knowing,
sense
like,
of
his sense of humor
humor. Yeah.
yeah, knowing, like, his sense of humor and how sometimes it comes off very sarcastic, like, either he was really actually not into blondes but he was
I
also
mean, he
being, like,
moved
a
like he wasn't into blondes, like, I never saw him form any kind of connection well, not that there was many blondes,
yeah, there
but, like,
wasn't a lot of blondes,
many
to be quite
options,
honest.
but, like, he certainly didn't pursue many other blondes or any other
Yeah, but I'm saying,
close
like,
to
both things
blondes.
could be true, like, he could not be into blondes, but also he might have been, like it's a like, a cheeky joke, you know what I mean? And stuff
Yeah,
like that.
I
So
wonder
I
if
was
he
like,
would
"Oh,
have,
that's
like
funny."
I think he well, I guess I don't know because again, like, it might have just been like a humor thing and he would have been like, "I don't feel a need to, like, go out of my way to be like, oh, this is a joke, by the way, like, I am okay with, like,"
Yeah.
especially after how, like, obviously Kenzie took a huge issue with it, but we'll never know what he was gonna tell her to try to, like, let her down easy because Kenzie
Yeah.
was like, "Boundary, bitch. You've you done fucked me one last time."
Yeah, so that's why I look back, I'm like, "Oh, like, all the what ifs, like, what if Kenzie had
Yeah.
continued to talk to him?" We never know because even he said, like, "Oh, I might be into blondes after all," when that other girl came in, I forget her name, that other blonde that came in that went with Caleb or left with
Oh,
Caleb.
the tall girl, the
Yeah,
lean I forgot what her
the
name
one
was too, yeah.
yeah, her. But, yeah, so I was like, I
And
think
maybe
Family
his
Day for
issue
me
that was that he was into platinum blondes, not whatever blonde Kenzie is.
who
Just
knows?
kidding.
But yeah, so for me, they definitely confirmed what I was feeling about Zach. I'm like, yeah, he's giving insecure. I really do think he likes Kata, but he's so insecure that he's kind of doing these things to kind of see where Kata is and if she really does like him as much. Cause I do think obviously Zach still plays into the whole idea of like, I'm gonna date the hottest girl and my friends are
And that's
going to
how
look
he's
up to me
seeking
to that, you know?
validation.
Yeah. And I think that's where everything lands. I do think his friendship with Bryce is interesting. To me, it's a very normal guy friendship from what I've seen with guys who have friendships. I'm
No, it's
like,
like
that's
guys are homo with each other, like, that is just, like, a rite of passage for them, they're always out, like, not always, obviously, don't wanna blanket statement, but that's a very common, I think, friendship dynamic between men, especially if they get along very, very much, and
yeah,
they've it seemed like they very much clicked in the sense of, like, "You're my person in this villa," so it almost like a brotherly kinda thing. I
yeah.
mean, I can see him getting along with Charlie like that, and that's why it was easy for him to kinda, like,
Well, even
mirror
when
some of
Charlie
that with
came in,
Bryce.
he was still also like that with Bryce. So I was like, oh yeah, I think that that's a very normal guy friendship as far as like what I've seen. But I do think that a part of him does kind of look up to Bryce and like
I can see that because Bryce
a
is
lot of
older.
him, yeah, was giving, like, I'm also looking for your validation in things, right? Like, your approval with certain
Yeah,
things.
especially if, like
Yeah.
you said, he, like, looked up to him or he, like, had respect for him. Yeah. That's interesting. I never really thought that he had much respect for Bryce, but I did see more of like, oh, this is like my friend. And there was a little, I think, like you said, his ego and the competitive side of him. You can see how that also sometimes would kind of be like, because he kind of would see some of the ways that Bryce was moving and like how farther, not, and again, all of that is subjective, right? Like for many people, they could see Bryce and Trinity's run of relationship, like, oh, they're so ahead, like they're boyfriend and girlfriend now, or they said I love you to each other. But I mean, that's all semantics at the end of the day, because we just talked about how like Kata and Zach are allegedly in a situationship, and a lot of people were saying like, no, they're great, like they're solid. they say the same thing about Melanie and Sincere, and y'all got me fucked up if you guys think that that is a good and secure
I think it's
relationship.
crazy that they
So I'm
say
just
Zach
like,
came in with the plot, because 'cause I'm like, if he did, this is the worst way to win Love Island, if people really believe that Zach came in with the plan, and I'm like,
yeah.
then that is a
His
horribly
plan was just,
executed
like,
plan.
stay here longer than Charlie did, and
No,
you
but if
wonder if that's
No,
why
but
he
people are
also
saying it's like, "Oh, he doesn't like Kata. He's just staying with her to win." But I'm like, then this is a really poorly executed plan if he
mhm,
doesn't like her and he's trying to win. Because 'cause I'm like, a lot of the moves that he's been making, I don't think that works for a win. If anything, I would say Bryce fits all the pieces for what, like, people want Zach to be. I'm like, to me, Bryce gave more thought. Like, if you were saying someone's, like, rigging the game to win, I'm like, to me,
yeah,
Bryce fits that more than Zach fits it. Because Bryce is a model. He's been in the industry for a very long time.
yes.
He
He's
knows what
also
reality TV
older
is.
and more
Not
mature,
even
I feel.
older, but it's like, he knows perception. He knows how we as, like, the viewers perceive people and how this industry works. So I'm like, if I was gonna say anybody was rigging the game and just in it for the money and to win and for the opportunities that it would bring, I'm like, to me, Bryce fits that more. And the way
Yeah,
that he was playing, not saying that his relationship with Trinity wasn't true. Like I said in the beginning, I'm like, I didn't really think that they liked each other
yeah,
like that.
mhm,
So if we're gonna stick to that view, I'm like, I could see how Bryce fits that more. And I
yeah.
can see Trinity just being a smart girl and like going along with it. Now, if they really do like each other, like great, happy for them. I'm glad
Time
they
will
won.
tell, and,
Time will
like
tell.
you said,
Yeah.
life after the villa is a lot different than in there, so
Yeah, exactly. So I'm
in the
like,
meantime, they secured their bags,
yeah.
which arguably is what everybody was in there to do, like,
Mhm.
let's be real, after 6, 7, 8 seasons of Love
Like, we all
Island and
know what it
people
is.
we know part of the allure of getting into this show and to having a run there and to making a good impression because of the social media likes, the follows, that like it could catapult you into something more, whether you want to be a model, you want to do
An
like
actor. Mhm.
influencing, whatever it is, it certainly opens up or positions you where you are able to sort of explore that. So again, like everybody that was on that show was coming for something, you know?
Yeah,
And they put in work, okay, and I
he
will
did.
applaud them for that. So, whether it was fake or real,
Yeah. Like, I
I
was
was
annoyed throughout the
entertained.
whole season. I was like, can we just get this over with? Like, I'm so over this shit." And I was also getting over people like us that were talking about Love Island and putting, like, their 2 cents into it. I'm like,
There's
"There's
a
a lot
lot
of
of people.
projection happening here," and I'm like, sick and tired of it because you guys are talking all this shit, and meanwhile, they're in the Love Island thing, whether producers are, like, coming in and telling them, like, "Hey, you guys need to make up or you guys need to do this because this is how the world is seeing you right now," which or if they took it in within their own hands to apologize and do their thing, I'm like, meanwhile, people are out here having, like, arguments
Wars,
about
yeah,
yeah, and then meanwhile, you guys are just like, "Kumbaya," you know what I mean? So I'm
yeah.
like, "I'm tired, grandpa."
Yeah, and I mean, that's why it's also like you take that stuff with a grain of salt too, right? Like you as a viewer, you know what you're signing up for when you're watching
But
reality
that's my
TV.
problem with people take it so seriously, and I'm like,
Yeah.
"Y'all need to calm down. Relax."
Yeah, but even watching some of those, right, like, you get a sense for, like, okay, this person's not very media literate, like, their take is obviously coming from a more, like, personal and, like, projection kind of way, and I just thought it was interesting to see people's critiques all around, whether it was, like, a hot take or something that was thought out and that was speaking to the larger like social structures and what goes on in dating and stuff, but it just said a lot of the person as like with their takes too, so I found it entertaining too. And also I would just skip when I was like, all right, this is too much, like this isn't like, no, I already heard this take, you know, like give me something new.
Yeah,
But
I
yeah.
feel like my algorithm now that Love Island is over and the World Cup is pretty much on its way out, like, it suddenly went back to, like, politics, and I'm like, "Great, we're back here." Like,
You're like,
"No."
oh
Yeah.
yeah.
So how did we feel about Casamore in general and the live
I appreciated them, the producers or whoever did that deserves a raise. I appreciated them getting messy and showing the girls what the men were doing at Casa more because I feel like one of the things that really stifled women, or maybe like it influenced the way that women would move during Casa more, and why we saw a lot of like unsuccessful uh pursuit of connections in Casa Amor between the girls and the new guys that came in during Casa Amor was because they were trying to be like down for their men or like not do anything to like, potentially ruin the connection. They wanted to like, stay with them. And it made for like a very uneventful Casa Amor part on the girls' side. Like it's always
Mhm.
the men that are having the most fun, which I always thought which is bullshit because it's Love Island, both sides should be allowed to explore. That's part of this whole exchange and stuff, right? And I do think that you can do this exercise or experience without being fully disrespectful to whoever you're coupled up with, right? So I did appreciate that because even though I feel like the girls still didn't do the most as they could have, um, but
But what
some
do
of
you
them
mean by
did.
the most?
No, like, I feel like like, for example well, I guess Melanie did try to, kinda put herself out there within her own boundaries, so I applaud her for that, and in her own terms. Kata sort of also, but she was also a little hesitant, but she still, le hizo su luchita. Kenzie we knew, but, like, Kenzie's been exploring, so, like, we weren't surprised about that even when Corbin dogs her
Trinity,
Trinity.
they
I
all
was go
explored. I think they all
Yeah.
gave it, like, a good
I
shot of
think I
having a
was expecting
conversation
a
with
little
these
bit
people.
I think I was expecting more like despechadas kinda shit, like, in the
Mhm.
sense of because they saw like, they were very distraught about what happened, I thought it was gonna create a little bit more messiness, right? These girls handled themselves well.
I think that was one of the things that I was noticing with people and, like, the whole term of exploring, because obviously it's like Kenzie said, like, to her, a kiss is just like a handshake to see if she has chemistry with
As
this
yeah,
person,
chemistry, yeah.
and I was like, I can see where she's coming from, but at the same time, I'm like, I can explore someone and not make out with them too, you know what I mean? Like, I can have a
Right.
conversation, go the Kate and Melanie route and be like, "Let's
Yes.
see if there is chemistry here," because I'm like, you can test chemistry in so many
And
ways,
in
like, with a
non-physical ways.
conversation, yeah,
Yeah.
like, it's like, is this someone that I could have a very natural flow conversation, interesting conversation?
Yeah.
And it depends on how you like to be
Pursued too.
stimulated and
Yeah.
pursued, right? So, I think sometimes when people are like, "Oh, they didn't even bother to explore," I'm like, I think they did. I don't
Mhm.
like, I think they just did it in their own way, and people are
They did it
so
in their own
used
terms.
to
Mhm.
doing, like, maybe what Kenzie has done, but then you have Kenzie who's doing it the right way, and people are still judging her for it. So I'm like, "What do you guys
Yeah.
want? Do you guys want exploration, or do you
We
guys
got
like?"
both. We got
Yeah,
both
so
sides of it, and yeah.
and that's why I personally hated watching the Casa More live thing. I always dislike the whole Casa More situation when it comes to the guys and the girls because I of the way that they portray the girls and the way that basically the girls kinda have to move in order to get into the villa, right?
Yeah.
And then I think in
They
general,
basically have to,
that
like, estimarse.
whole challenge of, like, them dancing on each other always kinda irks me a little bit because I'm like, it's
The
just
heart rate
so
challenge?
yeah,
Or
it's just so icky to see how the guys act with the women, and I was so icked out by them in that time, and I was like, "I hate this challenge." I'm like, I think the only season so far that I saw from the US that has done it right has been season 6, because
yeah,
I'm
because it
like,
was
it
more
wasn't
tasteful.
yeah, it
It
was
was
more tasteful, it was
tasteful,
fun, like, the guys were being respectful, and I'm like, that's what that should
and
have
hearts
been.
were raised.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm like versus this season where I was like, Casey really irked me. I was like,
Yeah.
his his
All of them were fucking
what he
dogs
was
at Casa,
saying,
and the
what he was
mentality
doing with his
around it.
hand, what he I was just like, "Why?" I'm like, "And
They
this
were
is what happens."
manoseándolas, like, it literally
Yes.
was giving mesa que más aplauda, and
Mhm.
in that way, it felt, like, very derogatory, and it was also, like, one of those things where it's, like, the way the men moved in Casa Amor and not even talking about, like, the disrespect to the women back at the villa, like, the disrespect to the women in Casa Amor, I feel like they owed them more respect. It's almost like they were treating them as, like I don't wanna say, like, hookers or whatever, but they were kind of like how, like, people lower
They were
their
hypersexualizing them for
Yes,
sure.
they were hypersexual, and it was just, like, all the como se dice, all the chivalry, all the I don't wanna say proprietary, but, like, the approach with which you go and, like, maybe try to court someone to build a connection went out the door, and they were, like, hella physical, and like you said, like, se están manoseando and stuff, and it was icky and disrespectful, and it was just, like, gross. How do you expect to build an honest and truthful connection if this is how you're, like, starting off? But I don't know if, like, as a Casa Amor girl, you mentally already go prepared for that, but I don't think it should be that way, like,
No,
it's like they
yeah.
shouldn't see you as I don't know,
I
it's
know
it
Amora was, um, what's like, controversial, but I did like the way she approached the line as far
Mhm.
as, like, not, because also you as a person, like, you also have the boundaries as how much you're willing to go, sure, but
Yeah.
I'm like, if I saw all those guys being like that towards all the other girlies, I would also feel some type of way, and I wouldn't want to participate in that, and I would probably hold back also because like you said, like, I'm here to make a connection, but I'm also not trying to be disrespected or, like, manoseada like that either because I don't know
Yeah,
you at
just
the
for
end of
your
the day.
enjoyment and
Yeah.
just because, like, it's here, like
Yeah, and if
'cause it
I was a
serves
Villa
you
girl
on
and
a
I saw
platter.
that, I'm like, I don't even think I would be disrespected for myself. I'm like, I would
'Cause
feel
you're
so bad for the girlies. I'm like, ew, like, I expected better from you as a person,
you're
and that's where
already
I would feel, like, icked out because 'cause I'm like, "Wow, like, this is a completely different side that I've seen from this
you're like,
person."
"Perro." Just
Yeah,
kidding.
and I'm like, "Ew." So every single time this challenge comes up, I'm like, "Oh my god," like, I'm
'Cause their
about
true
to
colors
yeah, their true
show, like,
colors show, and I'm like, "I
how
hate it
you
so
conduct
much."
yourself when your person is not there and just,
Yeah.
like, your
The lack
inhibitions.
of discipline is appalling, and I'm like, "Oh."
Yeah. No, and I think what sucks too is that, like, obviously the power dynamics are off, right? Where, like, the girls are coming into this situation where, like, they're trying to get picked. They're trying to get taken back into the villa. So really, who has the upper hand here? Obviously the men. And that's why I think some of these things play out the way they
Mhm.
do, and it's not ideal, it's not
Yeah.
appropriate.
Dare I say I would think that actually that if they do keep doing this challenge, it should strictly be between the villa people, if they've been together for some time, like how they did in season 6, or people that they're already comfortable with, because it's like, "Oh, we've all been together for a very long time," or, "We just recently got together, but we really like each other," and,
Mhm.
and keep it maybe later in the season and not
Mhm.
so, like, when you're introducing all these different connections and stuff. Because 'cause
You
I'm like, "This
you're
isn't fun to see
You're
for the
curious
girlies."
you're curious too though, right? Where, like, I was curious if the reason why it was earlier in the season was because people weren't exploring, that they were like, "Okay, we gotta break something or we gotta, like, shake things up."
But they weren't bringing okay, because they brought 12 guys for the girls, and
Mhm,
I'm like, "You guys could have like, sporadically sprinkled some of these guys in between the season
mhm,
as bombshells. First of all, why are the guys only getting the heart rate challenge? Why aren't the girls getting the heart rate challenge?
mhm.
It's 'cause you guys brought too many men. But I'm like, you guys also didn't bring a lot of bombshells, and you guys didn't do any dates. I'm like, I remember when I was watching the earlier seasons of the UK season, I'm like,
Yeah, they
they
did
did challenges to win dates. So they would make the couples work together, and this is also to test how well they work
compatibility.
with
Yeah,
compatibility, how can they communicate, and then their goal was to win a date, and you would often see couples get really pissed at each other because 'cause they're like, "I feel like you're not trying, like, we're trying to go on these dates, and we're trying to win these dates because like, we need
and
alone
it
time," but
added a new layer
yeah,
of, like, relationship
exactly.
building, and it could either add pressure in a good way or in a bad way. You can learn if, like, "Hey, maybe we're not appropriate."
Yeah.
And that would be good drama to see too.
Yeah,
I
and that's why
I
it
was
worked
always
earlier in the season, but
uh,
this season, I'm like, "There's no dates." They didn't even
what
do
are they
the
even their
splitting of the
challenges
money, like, do you wanna keep the money or do you wanna share it? Like, they didn't do it this year, they didn't do
what
any final speeches in the
mhm.
finale, they didn't do any of that, and I'm like, they barely brought any
They just did
bombshells.
they ended up just doing these fucking, what is it called? Like, the replays. We saw what happened. You guys don't need to replay it for
Yeah,
us. We
exactly.
don't need the memories. We've been seeing you know how
Yeah,
many
so
fucking episodes it's been? It's been 35.
for this shit no, I was kidding.
And you're gonna have us go through it all over again? No, let us get
I'm
the
tired,
speeches.
grandpa. Yeah, no.
Yeah.
So, I do think overall this season,
They
in my
definitely took creative
opinion
liberties, and I'm
yeah.
interesting to see of, like, how like, what the lessons are learned for production and, like,
I just
how
think
they
these couples weren't tested, and that's why I don't believe any of the couples that were up there. I'm like, "We need more dates, we need more challenges," and I'm like,
and they have to lead
can
to
we get
something.
rid of that challenge at the end with the mouth swab?" I fucking hate that challenge, it's so fucking
I don't
disgusting.
remember I actually thought that was a new thing. I didn't remember that
No,
for
they did it
last
in
year or the
season
year
6,
before.
remember they did it for,
Oh, I don't
4th of
even
July with
remember.
the hot dogs and the ketchup.
Oh, I remember the
Ugh,
hot dogs now. Never mind.
no,
Never mind.
disgusting. No, thank you.
I would appreciate a little bit more competitiveness. It is a game show after all, right?
Mhm.
So I would appreciate the competitiveness of, yes, challenges leading to something, if not dates, then I don't know what, but,
Because then it also
because
allows the audience a little bit more nuance, like, "Hey, like, I probably hate this couple, but they do have the best connection." Like, you
yeah, you
can't
could
fault them
see
for that, you know what I mean? Like,
right.
they're just being real.
Yeah, and I think because that was one of the things that I was wondering about this season where, like, okay, we do these challenges, yeah, they're for entertainment, but then, like, who wins? What is the whole point, right? The only one
Mhm.
that actually ended up working out was that whole, what is it, the talent show or the karaoke one? Because they were able to
Yeah.
save themselves. That would also be like that being a reason to win a challenge is also appealing. Like, I don't know if they wanted to do it every time, but, like, that also shakes things up, and, like, obviously I think it, like, impacted or influenced the tide of who would have left. Because I originally would have thought that Kenzie and what's her man was would have left that night if it wasn't because they won,
I think
um,
they definitely, like, fucked some they did something there because 'cause I'm like, "That
to
doesn't make
keep them
any sense." Yeah,
yeah.
because 'cause I'm like, I feel like the couple that was supposed to be down there wasn't supposed I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what the producers are doing trying to save the show. I think the editing really, like, helped portray certain people certain way, but I do
Mhm.
think if they had the challenges to win dates, it would also help put people a certain way, but also the audience can see how these couples are and how these people are individually,
Yes,
and it's
not
not so
just
like,
in a
"Oh, I
couple.
like this person because this is what's being edited as how they are," right? Yeah, I think it would just be a little bit more like if you just have a lot more to work with as a producer, I think. Because why didn't we have dates? Bombshells that came in would always be able to pull 2 of their top choices for
Yeah.
dates. They didn't do
This
that for
time they
Soul.
just no, they literally they ended up just
They
leaving
put her out to dry, and I'm like, "You guys need
that
to pull her
no,
for
and
dates."
no, and then remember, like, Kada and I was gonna call him Miguel, it's not his name, Miguel, what's
Gabriel?
Gabriel, they got to go to fucking sleep with them, like, they coulda
Yeah.
had a threesome if they
That was
wanted
so
to.
weird.
I was
I'm
like, it's
just
giving
like
a lot of sexual stuff, like, what are you guys trying to do here? Because it's like, were you guys thinking that they were gonna be hunching with each other, that people were it was gonna give, like, a challengers moment? Like, what?
yeah, it was
It would
so
have been better
weird.
for it to have been dates, especially since it was so early on in the season. And then, yeah, like you said, what happened to Soul, and especially if production was seeing that people were closed off, people weren't really approaching her, they could have thrown the girl a bone and, like, let her pull people on dates because that's how it
Mhm.
usually is done.
And then we have the movie night, obviously,
Yeah.
the hugely anticipated movie night. I thought that was interesting. I was kind of like, whatever's about it. I don't know. It was very complicated because I'm like, all parties made points, but at the same time, I'm like, I don't necessarily understand where Anaya was coming from as far as I understand, but I don't think it was right for her. I don't know. It was
Yeah,
weird
it was
because
right for her what?
'cause she was saying she felt disrespected by Casey, and I was also like, but disrespected in one way, and I didn't like how when, Corbin asked, "What did he do that was disrespectful?" And all the girls kinda just, like, piled on him and, like, shut up, and I'm like, "But it is a valid question, like, you guys are trying to have a conversation to air this out, and you guys can't shut down a person who's
Mhm,
asking a valid question, like, how did you feel disrespected? Because as far as you know, the only thing that he did that was disrespectful is explore Soul when he told you he was going to explore her. What
mhm,
he said was that it's gonna take a lot for me to leave this connection,
mhm.
and I'm like, "It's true, like, just because I'm exploring someone doesn't mean I'm going to leave the connection, like, it's gonna take a lot for me to wanna leave a good connection for somebody else that I just met," you know what I mean? So I don't necessarily understand why Anaya kept saying, "I felt disrespected," when in reality, it's like he told you he was gonna explore. You knew that he was gonna come back with somebody, and you still picked him. So I'm like, obviously, you didn't feel disrespected enough not to pick the guy
True.
because there was nothing there I don't know. I'm like, you should have moved like Kenzie in that way if you felt that disrespected. Then it's like, fuck Corbin. I'm gonna pick somebody else. Clearly, he doesn't
Yeah.
care about me. If anything, I'm like, Kenzie had more of a reason because Corbin said, like, I really fuck with you. I'm starting to get feelings for you. And so I'm like, if a person told me that and then I see them move the way they're moving in Casa, I'd be like, yeah, that is hurtful. And I
Mhm,
do feel some type of way of that. So I'm just gonna move on. But Naya, as far as she saw, it was just Casey's irky, gross behavior towards
mhm.
another person. So I could feel like I understand in her saying like, "I felt disgusted," by
Yeah.
this person's reaction when I wasn't around or, like, this other side of him, but I'm like, I don't get the disrespect part.
I thought the disrespect was coming from what he would say, like, to Corbin and, like, those
But
comments that he would
she didn't
make.
know that though.
Didn't that come out in
She
the
saw it
movie
at
night?
movie night, but I'm
Yeah.
talking
Oh,
about, like,
sorry,
when
I thought we were talking about movie night.
no, but that's why it was like she's saying this whole time up until movie night, she's like, "I felt
Oh,
disrespected by KC." And then that came up, she's like, "See, I told you you're being disrespectful," but it's like, up until then, you didn't know any of that. So it's like,
that
how
we
do you
know of,
say
for all we know. Just
true,
kidding.
of we know it, but the same thing goes, and why did you pick him if you
Mhm.
said you felt so disrespected? And Carl is, like, perfect, 10 out of 10, and you still picked Casey. And when she's like, "Well, I it was because I was putting more of my choice on his feelings versus yours," but it's like, you already knew his feelings. His feelings was, like, he's not into this connection anymore. He found TT, right? That's her name?
TT.
And he's
Tiara.
into her, yeah, clearly. So it's like, where I don't know. I just think that Anaya, I don't know if she was just being more so a follower and doing what, like, Kata and Melanie were doing, and whereas, like,
I do
it
think
worked
that
out
our
for
girl
them,
was
so it's
Yeah, I do
yeah,
think that our girl was set up because everybody else up to her that had, like, chosen to stay loyal to their men came back to them, whether it was on good terms, on bad terms, but they decided to recouple with them, and then it was her turn. So I'm thinking in her head, she's just like, "Oh my god, everybody came back, like, my man's gonna
do
come
you
back
think
too."
do you think
Because I
because
was just like, "Damn, they set her up for that," and I knew it too. She's like, she's gonna see that, she's gonna get a false vote of confidence, and she's gonna go against her gut, and she's gonna choose Casey because she thinks that Casey and all of them are gonna be moving in the same.
do you think that in her mind, she's like, "Well, if Sincere, who is the worst of the worst, that's moving up out here and, like, doing my girl wrong, came
Well,
back to
well,
Melanie,
that's what
then Casey will come back to me because he's not as bad as
everybody
Sincere?"
I don't know about that, but, like, everybody came back. Well, I mean,
Mhm.
by everybody, I mean, like, Melanie, Kata, and,
Yeah,
we knew Corbin was gonzo because we already knew the very lustful situation he had with
with Pernita.
Kenzie. So I do think that that gave her a false sense of hope of seeing, like, Sincere came back, Kata came back. Um, so naturally, Casey is too because they were all so close. Like, that was their little brotherhood too. So he's like,
Yeah.
"Oh, like, he'll follow with it too," you know?
Yeah. But even then, I'm like, if you really like Carl, why wouldn't you pick him? Because just because you pick Carl doesn't mean you're giving up on the connection with Casey. It just means I found another connection that I really, really want to explore.
Yeah.
So I'm going to bring him back. But this
I
doesn't mean that I'm like writing off Casey. You know what I mean?
I wonder if it was also out of a need for her wanting to make him feel validated because, like, the whole part of him, like, I was never chosen, I was never chosen. And she was like, I've been picking you. And, like, their whole letter exchange and, like, them reaffirming their relationship with each other before Casa happened. So I think she was kind of stuck on this idea of, like, well, we've spent so much time together, we've put so much
Mhm.
into, or at least she got caught up with that idea that she was just like, I don't wanna let go of that. I do think for it was very short-sighted of her to think that she couldn't pursue both things at the same time, especially if, like, the odds were very much in gonna be
Against
that
her.
he was gonna come back with
Yeah.
somebody else. So, like, you do the same, and it's like, felices los cuatro, baby, and
Yeah.
we'll figure it out, you know?
Yeah.
We're still
Well,
in the
even the
motherfucking
letter
house.
stuff threw me off because 'cause I'm like, I am still by the thing that Anaya never really liked Casey and vice versa. Like, I still stand by that, and clearly it shows because of the way that things turned out, but
And it could
also,
have been
like
an ego thing too of her that she wanted, like, when maybe it's like one of those things where it's like, this guy's not good for you or this guy doesn't want you, but you want to prove to yourself that maybe you are good enough if you just, like,
no,
weather
I
the
just think
storm
that
and
there was
stuff.
no one else in the house that was going to talk to her, so it was a safe option, and I agree, I
Mhm,
do agree, and I said it in the past, I'm like, "They're both safe zoning each other, and they
mm,
don't like each other," and
mhm,
I think when Casey was saying, like, "She doesn't show me affection," at first I was like, "Oh, like, relax, like, you don't need sexual intimacy to feel intimate with or feel connection with somebody," but
mhm.
then, like, seeing how she acted with, like, Carl and seeing how affectionate she was towards him, I was like, "Oh, I can kinda see what Casey was saying more so, like, I wanted a little bit more affection from her, not more say, like, I wanted to get it in with her, but I'm like, I just needed a little bit more affection."
Which I think that's interesting because for me it was like, oh. yeah, she moved very differently with Carl than with Casey, and was it, like, where Carl afforded her a better, sense of safety, where
Mhm.
she felt comfortable leaning into that versus Casey? Because obviously,
Yeah.
we don't know what happened, right?
Yeah.
Because we only know what we
See so
see,
much,
right?
yeah.
But maybe there was also an element of that, that she didn't feel fully, like, comfortable, and maybe it's because she had a gut feeling that he wasn't down for her,
No, but I
you
also
know?
think it's 'cause she didn't like him either.
And there
Like,
was probably an
you
element
can
of that
have those
too.
feelings and still be attracted to someone. We have Melanie over here who's like, "I don't know if what this guy is saying is true, but I like him a lot." So she showed
Mhm.
affection either way. Where I do think Anaya didn't like Casey like that, and I think her letter showed that because all the things she wrote out in that letter was what Casey made her feel as far as, like, about herself. It was all about her, about what
Mhm.
he did for her
Oh,
versus, like,
yes.
about him. And I'm
Yeah.
like, I
That's
think
a red flag
that
because
was a
it's
red
just
flag
like,
for me,
you're
and it
not
was a
gonna
red flag throughout the thing because Bryce did the same thing about Trinity, and it's like, "Oh, she makes me feel like this," and, like, I'm like, "But what do you like about her?" You
her,
know what I
not
mean?
about what she did
Not
brings to
not
the
what she
table,
does
what
for
she
you,
does
like,
for
what is
you.
yeah, exactly, and that's why I'm like, I don't know if it's real or not, and that's why I'm still iffy about it
Or
because 'cause I'm
not
like
necessarily if it's real, but it's just like it's not as, like, genuine as it should be, because it's not ideal to put those type of feelings or to kind of mix up those feelings when it's like you're not into her, you just like how she makes you feel.
mhm.
And that's a
And
very
that's why I was
different
like
thing than
mhm,
liking
yeah,
someone for who they are.
exactly, yeah, and so that's why when Anaya was like, "You didn't pick me," or "I picked you, you didn't pick me," I was like, "Girl, like,
I
what
was
are
like,
we
"Not
doing
our pick
here?"
me
Yeah,
moment."
"Love me, choose me." I'm like,
Yeah.
"No."
I think what was very interesting about her dynamic with Casey too is that it was very layered because of the racial component too.
Yeah,
You were looking at it from the lens of like, okay, men and women and dating and how they move and how the disrespect or whatever. And then you add the heaviness of the racial component and stuff,
I will
especially when
give Anaya grace always. I will always give these people grace because 'cause they're young, right?
yeah,
So a part of me
exactly.
is like, did Anaya also feel a sense of loyalty to him because the first conversation they kinda had as far as we saw was, like, him telling her, "You're the blueprint because you're a Black woman, I understand you go through these things." So
Mhm.
then in her mind, it's like, "Well, you're a Black man, I understand the shit you go through in dating." So in a
Right.
sense, it's like now I'm in this, like, circle of I can't leave this man because technically he has been, you know, reassuring me and talking all of this
What
stuff
did
to, like
Casey said? He breathed life into her
yeah,
every day.
breathe life into her and whatnot, and it's like, I think a form of Nanaya did feel some sense of loyalty there because she's like obviously the whole idea of perception also, they know that they're being watched by an
Mhm.
audience and also by a Black audience. I'm wondering if maybe there was a sense of loyalty there because of the intersectionalities of what it is to be a Black man dating in this society and
And to
also a
be,
Black
on
woman.
TV like that
Yeah,
too.
exactly, and it's
Like,
like the expectations also, right, of Black love and all that stuff, so I'm like, how much of that is playing into the decisions
they're
that
or
Anaya is
influencing
making?
their
Uh-huh.
decisions, yeah.
Aside from, like, what's going on in Live
I mean,
Island.
and it seemed like she was attracted to him though, because she was like, "Oh, Casey's fine shit," and, like, "I want that," and it was just like
But that's
that,
why I was so confused because 'cause I'm like, "Do
and
you"
that's when I knew that I'm like, "Oh, no, she's gonna fuck this up for
Yeah.
herself," you
I'm like,
know? But it's to
"No."
your point, she's young too, like, this was
Yeah.
obviously a very, like, hard lesson that she
Mhm.
learned, you know?
And this is a very good example of sometimes what you want isn't what you need, right? Like, you might
Exactly.
want Casey, but you need, like, a
Need
Carl, you know what I mean?
Exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Or just the whole part too of like you have an idea of like what checks you. Like that was another issue for me where she or not issue, but like a red flag for me when she kept with all this whole thing where she talks about checking boxes and like,
Mhm.
oh, he checks all my boxes. Cause then it's just like it feels like it's very much just like a da, 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 and it's not, it kind of removes from like the actual genuineness of like learning someone, getting to know someone and seeing if you really like them for
Mhm.
who they are, not just because they check these boxes
And
and they
that's
make you
why I
feel a
also
certain
don't
way.
know if I feel convinced that she likes Carl that much either, because 'cause I'm
Mhm.
like, there's just something that I'm
I
like,
think
something's not
I think
clicking, I feel.
Carl's yeah, I think Carl's definitely, I think he's put up a good fight, in terms of
Yeah.
his courtship with her. And I do think that maybe it could be a thing where, like, Anaya just needs to ha spend some more time with herself and, like, growing in terms of what she wants, what she doesn't want, and things like and knowing herself more deeply to know
Yeah.
what she wants, right? And for her not to be influenced by what like society or other people say, like this is what you should want out of a guy. But who knows? I
Yeah.
mean, Carl seems like a stand-up guy. They seem to get along well, but like you said, time will tell and what life outside of the villa is really going to look like for them.
Mhm.
Because it could very much be that too, right? Where
Yeah.
she's sold into this idea because everybody's like, standing them. Carl
Yeah.
is such a great guy. Their families got along. So now it's like, oh,
Yeah,
you
I
know,
think even Carl saying, "Oh, like, I this whole Prince Charming thing," like, I think even he's like, "Oh, shit." He didn't come off that way, but I think there is a sense of, like, "Fuck," like, how much you know what I mean? Like,
standards
is it
standards
too late to walk away? You know what I mean? Like, what if it
standards
doesn't
and
work out?
expectations are high. But I mean,
Yeah.
I think he does have like a good head of his shoulders, and he even speaks into it when he talked about that like, Chinese word that said
Yes.
about how everything's sweet because of the impermanence of everything, where you really don't know what's going to happen. And I think he's very cognizant of that. So it's like, as much as he's leaning into this and really likes this and wants to pursue more with her outside of the villa, he also knows that like there are a lot of variables. Who knows what's going to happen? Who
But
knows
I
if they're
I
going to
think
make
he
it out there?
purposely did that because it's
Mhm.
like, yeah, like, let me set
Let
myself
me
up for success
That's
outside of the
why
villa.
no, this is why he is a smart
Yeah.
guy, and he also knows about perception, like, he's been watching, you know?
Mhm.
There's a reason why he came into this, and it was literally a golden
Yeah.
boy in this and has conducted himself in a very good way to the point where it's like, to everybody he could do no wrong, you
Yeah.
know?
Like, Carl would never.
I know it's his persona too because obviously you can't fake the funk for that long, but there's also that element of like you said, like he studied this. He knows what's expected. He knows what the people want,
Mhm.
and it comes easily to him. So
Yeah.
it was
Yeah.
very advantageous. I'd say it's a rather advantageous match between that.
Yeah, I think the only other thing that kind of I think when it came to movie night, obviously it was just the constant like back and forth and not letting people speak and talk, especially when the girlies were like, "What do you have to say for yourself?" And then they would just go off and not
They
let
were
them
just like on
explain.
the hot seat.
Yeah, and I understand the frustration, but at the same time, it's like you also need to allow people to speak if you want an answer, you know what I mean? And I
Yeah.
also think Anaya standing up and going over to Casey and, like, talking down to him was not cool. I think
Well, he stood
that
up first. That's why she felt
he
like
stood up
um,
out of frustration because he couldn't speak, but he never once came over to her
okay,
and
put your
stood
finger
over
down.
her.
No, I'm just kidding. Just kidding. No, yeah. No, I get that Casey stood up in frustration. Like, I get
Yeah,
that. Like, obviously, especially because, as we know, he has felt very invalidated throughout his whole villa experience. And, like,
yeah,
this was the moment where he was trying to, like, damn, I thought I was doing something for me. And, like, now I'm the bad guy. Like, what the shit? And it wasn't
yeah.
registering to him, like, the stuff that he
But
might
also
have
it's like you're
could
not
have
letting
done
me
better.
speak. So how am I supposed to
Yeah.
explain myself if you're not letting me speak? Every time I
Mhm.
try to say something, one of y'all is like going off. So I would have stood up too out of frustration. I'm like, can you guys shut the fuck up?
Mhm.
Obviously, like I'm glad he didn't call any of the girls out of their
Out of
name
their
or
name.
like went really
Well, that's
aggressive. I
what he
think
had TT for.
well,
And
yeah,
she
but I
made
think
that
that
very clear
also
very early on.
that's why when it came to Casey, I'm like, "Oh, I have respect for him for that," because I'm like, "Good." Like, there's so many ways this conversation could have gone wrong had he
Mhm.
done anything differently. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So when Anaya stood up and walked over and, like, talked at him, I was like, "No, girl, like, don't do that," because if he
Yeah,
would
it
have
was
done
very
that
out
to
of
you
character of her. I was surprised that she did that, and I was like, "What is she trying to do her big one here
I
of,
don't
like,
know
trying
if
to,
it was
like,
out of
catch her,
character
like"
though. Maybe it was, but then, like, when her
I
mom
thought
came
it
and she's
was.
like, "Since when do you cry?" I was like, "Oh, is Anaya not being true to herself in this like, is she" and again, this is the whole idea of, like, the perception of Black women in reality TV, right? Like, obviously, maybe Anaya is holding back at times because it is very possible for her to get a
A
very
bad edit
stereotypical edit,
edit,
right?
yeah.
So when her mom came and said she's like, "Since when do you cry?" At first I was like, "Let her cry. It's okay for her to cry." But then also I was like, "Is your mom telling her who is this girl? Like this is not the girl I raised." Like, you know what I mean? So part of me was like,
I
"Wait, what's happening here? Is
I
this
think
not
yeah.
true Anaya? Like true Anaya would be like, standing on business
Or not who
or
her mom wanted her to
yeah."
be,
And
right?
that's why I
Because
was
I
like a
can see
little
as an
torn there.
athlete mom that, like,
And
you have
that's
certain
yeah.
expectations of your kid.
Mhm.
So I can tell that, like, her mom has been hard on her, not, like, like, intentional, because you could tell that her mom raised her right, obviously,
Mhm.
but, like, there was a little harshness to it too, where I
Yeah.
feel there was what do you mean
What are you
since when
doing?
you've
Yeah,
been
like,
yeah.
what the hell? So that's
She's
why I was
like,
so torn
"Remember
in
who you
that
are, bitch." Yeah.
situation.
Well, that's the thing, and I think her mom was upset that she was not only they played in your face, but, like, you also put yourself in that position to get played at because, like, what the fuck like she said, like, "Why wouldn't you choose Carl? If you should have chosen Carl. Like, why would you put yourself in these situations?" And then you're gonna cry about it when it's like like, she was kinda holding her responsible for her actions,
Mhm, yeah.
which was a bit harsh too, right? And
Yeah, but I
then
did like
and the
that she
part
called her out about the Melanie part. I'm like, "Thank
yes,
you."
yeah, the parents certainly stood on business when they came through the villa. But just going back to the movie night and the way people handled themselves, I do think that like we've been saying throughout this episode and throughout our Love Island hot takes, these folks are young. They don't know how to argue. There was no mediator and obviously it's intentional, right? And even
Mhm.
though Corbin tried to do that because he already had that bad edit of like talk shit about Kenzie and all that stuff, so the girls were already like, no, nothing they could have said would have been able to land right to
I
anybody.
know, but I
So
do
that's why it
think
just sucks.
and I
Hopefully
do
it was
think
a learning
it's a s
experience.
yeah, but I think sometimes people like, conflate what Corbin and Casey were saying about their experience with Naya or Kenzie. I had to check myself several times. I'm like, this is their experience. This is their perception of things. This is how they're seeing it. It's not that they're saying these people are horrible. It's just like, this is what they've experienced. This is how they feel. And they have a right to feel that way just as much as
Mhm.
these people have a right to feel about that way too. But I think a lot of the things that the girlies were doing, it's like, you said this about me. And now they're equating that to saying, you're saying I'm a bad person. When in reality, no, that's not what they're saying. When I think when Casey said like, "Oh, like with Tiara, it's effortless, and with you, it took a lot of effort." I know he said it, it came out like, "Ooh, I don't know if that's the way you want to put it," but then I'm like, "No, it
Yeah.
makes sense because it's like he had to do not that you shouldn't put in work into your relationship, but sometimes things just flow easier with another person because they
Mhm.
get you. You guys both." Just mesh well. And sometimes it is a little difficult when you don't have a lot of things in common with this person and you really kind of have to force it. And I think that's what he meant. He's like, we were forcing it here versus here. It's like it doesn't feel like I need to force anything, right? It's just
Yeah.
it goes. And so I
Mhm.
think with Corbin, I'm like, maybe he did see some red flags and he's valid in that. Maybe there's just some things that he doesn't like when people do and I will say Corbin won me over from, like, movie night onwards
After
because
yeah.
he's very real, then he will speak his mind, and I appreciate that about him because he doesn't, like, fluff anything, and
He
he's like, "I
stands his
fucked up."
ground,
He
yeah.
stands his ground and
Well,
he
I
will
think
take
he owned up
accountability
to his
too.
shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think out of all the men, he was the one who to best do that. Because like, I
Mhm,
know Casey had his moment of being like, "Oh, sorry," but then he kinda walked back on it. So it's kinda like, "Ah," but whatever. But yeah, no, I agree. I think Corbin
mhm.
had a very good redemption arc since movie night, and he was honest about it. He stood on business, and he, like, recognized that he was gonna have to eat shit for some of it, but, like, he took it to the chin because he was like, "Whatever, like, I know in
I
my
also don't
heart
think it's
that
necessarily
I
he
did
thought he did anything wrong, I think he just wanted to keep the peace. He's like, "Alright, if that's how you guys see it, that's how you guys see it. I can't
well,
change your
yeah.
mind." You
Yeah,
know what
and
I
that's what
mean?
it
Yeah.
comes down to, like you were saying earlier, right? Like, people had their experiences about it, they had opinions, they also were reacting to things that they saw, whether they were edited or not, or actions that people made or didn't do, and
Mhm.
that's where a lot of this blowing up stuff was happening, and obviously we only saw part of it, we don't know the whole, so
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, and then that brings us to the sincere situation and, like, that whole thing with Melanie and her Melanie. And I'm like,
I
you're right there, girl." She's like, "The prize isn't getting picked, it's getting" what is it? Like, respect or something like
it's
that? Like
respect, yeah.
yeah, and I'm like, "You're right there, girl, and we're still here." And I'm just like, "Why?"
Yeah,
And it's the fact that people still voted for them. I'm like, "They need to get out of this villa now." Like,
same.
it's not good for her to be here mentally. Like, I'm sorry, for your own well-being, you need to get out. And I'm glad her
Yeah.
sister told her and I
Her
was crying
sister
when
and her
her
mom stood on
yeah,
business,
and
like,
I was like,
100%.
"Why would you give a second chance where there's so many people waiting for the first one?" And I was like,
Yeah.
"Bars,
I feel like
bars."
more people should have, like, taken on Kenzie's, like, approach in terms of, like, when you've done me wrong, like,
Yeah,
boundary,
bye.
fuck
And
you.
I
Especially
saw
because I
her
don't know you
dad's
like that.
I saw her dad's full message to her. I'm like, "Oh, that's so beautiful." And I'm glad that they're not shaming her because 'cause they're also
Oh,
validating her experience there, and they're like, "It's
yeah.
okay if you're exploring all these people
Yeah, because
because
'cause
you
I'm
only
sure
have to get
how
it right once." And I'm like,
yeah. No,
I'm like,
because
"Okay."
it's a very, like, human thing to do. I
Mhm.
mean, to explore connections, like, when you're trying to find your person, and unfortunately, some people have to go through more things than others, and it is a journey, and she's so young too, and I'm sure because there's a bunch of, like, slut edits and stuff for her, and, I you could just tell that her dad loves her so much, and they've obviously uplifted her so much, and this is why she is the way she is to some degree, right?
Yeah.
And that's why she exudes the level of confidence that she does, so it's just like, I can't knock her for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think of all the islanders, she did it the best as far as what it means to be on Love Island, and I'm sad that I understand where people were coming from because it's like it is so late in the game, but also it's like, why not?
Is a timeline that more people can or should have,
Yeah,
like, that should be an alternative, like, that should be a norm.
yeah,
If more people were playing, that's kind of where things would end up shaking out, like, towards the end, not,
yeah,
like, right now. I mean, not, like, earlier on when people close off right at the beginning or
but why are you guys yucking her yum? Like, you guys know how she is, you guys know her,
I
right,
feel like she was
technically?
genuine for the most part, right?
Yeah,
Like, obviously, she had her little faux pas. Everybody had their little, like, issues or whatever. She was not perfect by far, right?
yeah,
But I do feel like she moved around very genuinely in terms of who she was, and she never pretended to be something else.
and she
Sometimes
never
sometimes
and
it
she
was
did take
funny to me.
accountability, and most of the time she
Yeah,
did take
when
it.
they
She's
put
like, "Yeah,
her
I right."
out on it, yeah.
I think her crying when Jen called her out and when Melanie called her out, I gained a lot of respect for her because she cried because these girls were like, "You're not being a good friend or I wouldn't be friends with you." And it's like she took that more to heart than
Mhm.
like crying over a man or crying over like, you know what I mean? I'm like, and that to me showed like her true nature. And I'm like, oh, like she cares more about these friendship with girls. Like when she's saying like, I want to be friends with you guys, I'm like, I think she genuinely means it and I understand, but it's the way she moves sometimes that people would be like, "No, I wouldn't wanna be friends with you." But I'm like, "It's Love Island, right?" So it's like, it's
Yeah.
okay to move in that way as long as she's being honest and upfront. She's like, "I am interested," and that's what she's always done, but I understand some other
I think
girlies
there was some
don't
parts
move
where
that
she could
way.
have been a little bit more honest about the way she was moving, and I
In
think
which
at the
one?
with Kenzie, I think when she was exploring Gaul and what's his name, I know she was being
Dylan?
yeah, Dylan. I know she was being honest with them, but I think with Jen, because she was, like, closer to Jen, or she would always say how, like, Jen and her are best friends and this and that, like, she's like she would go to her for all of her, like, troubles and stuff, and obviously Jen did too. I think that's why Jen was kinda like, "Dude, that's
But she
fucked
did
up."
tell Jen that she wanted to
Ev
explore Gal.
Yeah, but she did it eventually, and I think she downplayed it at the beginning. So that's what I'm saying, like, again, it's not like, "Oh my god, you're a horrible friend for doing it," but it's like there were some things that she could have done better in her pursuit, but it's just like it's part of the game, so it's kinda
I
tough to
don't
navigate that.
I don't think she ever downplayed it though. I think from the very beginning, like Jen, even when they were bringing about Gal, like she said, I am interested in him. When Jen was like, "Oh, Gal said he was interested in you," she's like, "Yeah, I kind of am too,
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
I'm open to exploring that, obviously, and I'm letting you know." I
Yeah.
think where people had an issue is that she kissed Gal,
Yeah,
and
that's
Jen.
what
I
took
think that's what
forever for her
people
to
had
tell
an
her.
issue, and that's why you're being lustful. But I'm like,
I don't think
like
it was
you
a
can yuck.
lustful thing because
Yeah,
we
and
saw
that's where it
how
bothered me because 'cause I'm
for
like,
her it
all
was
you
the
guys are doing the
kissing.
same thing too. Like,
Yeah.
if you
No,
especially
I
coming
think
from people who were like, "You're being lustful,"
mhm.
like Trinity, I'm like, "You move that way too, girly." Like, you can't be saying someone's lustful when you literally kissed with Corey in the photo booth when you were exploring the connection. You know what I mean? Like, and
Mhm.
I'm like, for you to turn around and say Kenzie's being lustful or Gabrielle is being lustful, all this shit, I'm like, y'all are
But
kinda
those
moving
were
the same
challenge
way.
kisses though, whereas Kenzie kissed people outside of the
No,
challenge.
she co sorry, Trinity kissed Corey
Oh, I'm
outside of the
sorry,
challenge.
this was in Casa More, this was another
Yeah,
Corey. I'm sorry, I
yeah.
thought Corey I confused Corey with Corbin.
Oh, okay,
I
yeah.
notoriously
No, yeah,
don't
Trinity
remember
kissed
any of the
Corey
guys'
outside
names.
of the challenges, and
Yes,
so
I
did
remember that, yeah.
technically Melanie did too, kissed Tori outside on a
Yeah,
date.
she
So
did.
it was like, you guys
She
can't say,
asked
like,
him.
lust. If you guys feel it, sometimes you feel it, and I think Kenzie just feels it a lot sometimes, and like she said, like,
Yeah.
it's like a handshake. Now, would it be an issue outside of the villa and she's moving like that? Yes. but
And
it's
I
Love
think that's what
Island.
Jen
But you
communicated to
can't
her,
have
though.
the same rules outside of the villa, inside of the villa when you're on a love reality TV show called Love
Mhm.
Island, where you have to explore connections and find your best one.
Right.
And
Right.
that's what the problem was with this season, is that they were applying those rules. Again, claiming their person, and now nobody can talk to them. And that's what Soul was
Yeah.
saying. It's like it
And
was
that's
really
where
hard.
Jen was coming from when with
Yeah,
her
and Jen
issue with
had the same
Kenji.
situation that Gal had. So that's why when she was like, "No, like, he needs to be, 100% obsessed with me," I'm like, "Girl, you're on the wrong show if that's what you want.
I
You're on the
know.
wrong show." A lot
She
of
was
these
all
people
like,
were
"I
on the
don't want
wrong
someone to
show.
pick
Yeah, and I'm
me."
like, they
Yeah.
are picking you, but also it's their experience too, right? Like, yes, you
Mhm.
brought them here, but you have to also be mindful that it's like, yeah, they might have another connection with somebody else
Mhm.
eventually, or you know what I mean? So it's like, I think a lot of the mentality wasn't there. I
I
think
think
Kenzie
yeah,
had the best mentality as
she
far as
did.
like the show went. Everybody, and Corbin too, had also a good mentality when it came to like exploring and whatnot.
Yeah, and that's why when he ended up exploring and he found a better match with Parmita, he didn't even flinch twice and, like,
Yeah,
moved
and I
on.
think that's what Casey was also saying, like, "I did this for me," and I'm like, "Yeah, it is your experience, you have to make decisions for yourself like that too. What's your
Right.
best connection?" And so that's why when he was saying that, I'm like, "You can't knock him for that because it's true." It's like, he's
Yeah.
not here for Anaya,
I
he's here
think
for himself.
And I think obviously, I know that we were talking about, or you mentioned how like you didn't understand why, and I felt like disrespected because technically she hadn't fully seen it. But I know like for people outside, like the spectators looking in, they were like, oh, like you could explore, you could do it without like literally dragging Anaya and your connection through the mud, because then it also feels like, were you faking the funk too? Right. Like that very much
No, but
revealed
I
that
didn't
from him
see it that way.
too,
I just saw it as
which is
him
fine. I'm just saying like
resentful.
that's where
Yeah.
some people saw
No,
it
I know,
too.
and that's why I was saying, I'm like, there's a lot of projection happening here because if you guys put your own feelings outside of that, you would see that, like, Casey was only feeling that way because there's things that we're not seeing that
Yeah.
he experienced with Anaya, and clearly there's a disconnect there, and he's
Mhm.
just calling out what it is, like, that's how he feels about his connection, and that's fine, that's his connection that he has with
Right.
Anaya. I'm like, you guys do that all the time when you guys are talking shit about your boyfriend or your girlfriend to your friends. You're like, oh my God, I'm so fucking pissed at him because I told him to take out the trash and he didn't fucking do it. He's so fucking stupid. And you know what I mean? It's like you talk shit about your person all the time, but it's because you're
Yeah.
frustrated and
Right.
you don't necessarily always mean it. Or sometimes you're
Right.
like, I'm building up this resent and
Mhm.
I need to talk about it with somebody to see if what I'm feeling is valid or if I'm just like being dumb and,
Yeah.
so it's like there's certain things I'm like, you just need to keep your own personal projections aside of it and like really think
Yeah.
about like, okay, this is
And
what
I
they're
think
feeling
he was
and
also
that's
going
fine.
and I think
Yeah.
he was also going through his own projections and his own things
Yeah,
where,
for
like, he
sure.
thought he was gonna be a like, fine shit and hit it off in the villa, and he thought that, like, all the girls were gonna flock to him, and for whatever reason, he wasn't picked the first time, and that really fucked up his ego, and that kinda
Mhm.
hindered the way he moved. I think that's why he also probably was sort of, he either second guessed himself or played himself in not wanting to pursue Soul further or actually pull her for shots because he was kinda like,
I think the
maybe he
soul
got in his
thing,
head or something.
I think he was waiting for Soul to express more interest in
Interest?
it, but
Yeah,
also because and Soul is from the mentality, and she said she's like, "I feel like you should come and talk to me,"
right.
vibes, and it's like, okay,
And
there's
Casey feels the same way, like, he wants to be
no,
pursued
Casey, I think,
too.
was like, "I will pursue you, but also I need to know that there is something there." Because he told Anaya there, he's like, if there happens to be interest on both ends, I'm willing to
Mhm.
explore it, but if there's not, I'm not going to." And I think
Yeah.
that's what the situation was with Soul, was like, I he was interested, but he maybe wasn't seeing that Soul was interested as much
Mhm.
because she was hanging out with Sincere or whatever, and
Mhm.
maybe, again, I think there's some kind of connection or interesting, friendship with him and Sincere. Guys are very interesting because obviously they
Mhm.
date to impress their friends, but
Yeah.
also how does competitiveness and the girls being attracted to you come and play into that? Because it's like all these girls are flocking to Sincere. So
Mhm.
far, the girls that he was interested flocked to Sincere, right?
Right, yeah.
Anaya showed interest in Sincere, so there's also that, like, insecurity of, like,
That's what I'm saying, like, it kinda
right?
he kinda got in his way a little bit too, whether he kinda was like, "Oh, like, no, Sincere kinda has that,"
But I think that's
because
why
it could
also
have been a
Casa
little bit
Amor was
differently.
a little intense because a lot of the girls in Casa Amor said that Casey was their number 1 pick. So a
Yeah,
lot
and
of
they
that
were all throwing themselves at him
yeah,
too.
so
Well,
it's
not
like,
all of them, but, like, he definitely had a better choosing pool, and he
yeah,
hadn't experienced that before. But then
mhm.
there's also the element of he's like, I'm trying to
You
get
can still
pics.
control yourself.
I'm trying to
Like,
get
chill.
pics, so
Be cool.
naturally,
Be
Imma
cool.
throw all these cookies to you, sir.
It's very interesting to see maybe Casey's um, growth outside of the villa and, like,
Hopefully,
his
there is
relationship with
growth,
Titi.
yeah.
Yeah, I do like their connection. I thought that they seemed really sweet together, so out of all the couples, I think that was the one I believed the most, low key, and I was
Really?
like
That's
yeah.
crazy.
I was like, "Oh, okay, like, I can see it. I see the chemistry there."
I do see the connection, and I think that they relate to each other because of their backgrounds. Him saying wholeheartedly, "I see my mother, I hear my sister," you see why that connection was obviously different than what he had with Anaya, and I think that, as we're talking about, like, people projecting and putting some of their thoughts into, like, the way that they received some of this and the way that they interpreted some of these behaviors and stuff. I'm pretty sure that people have been through versions of Casey or versions of Sincere, versions of Corbin, and they
Yeah.
certainly struck a chord. And it's like, aquí me voy a despechar, aquí me voy a desahogar. So, yeah.
Yeah. And then, obviously, we have Sincere and Melody in that train wreck. I don't know how this is gonna work. I'm like, a lot of
It's
these
not gonna work
yeah.
out after the
I
villa. I feel bad for Melanie, but it's just like, it's a learning experience for her is all I can say. She's exactly where she wants to be for now at least, and until she knows gooder, she's not gonna do better. So,
yeah. I
um
again, giving all these people grace, but I do kind of feel bad for him, and we talked about it previously in the other episode. I'm like, obviously, he has a lot of growing up to do, and him being on Love Island is just gonna be an experience that he needs to grow and learn from, but
Absolutely,
I
yeah.
don't think he's ready for a relationship,
Mm-mm.
and I think Melanie telling him she needs to fix this is so delusional because there's only so much Sincere
What is
can
there to
do in
fix?
the villa exactly. In the
Yeah,
villa, I'm like, "How is he gonna fix it exactly? What do you, like, want him to do to fix it? What does that look like to you? What does that mean?" And then, obviously, Sincere
well, apparently it means you gotta win back my family's approval.
but that's never gonna happen.
I know, but, like,
Like
that's literally what she means, whether she's saying it consciously or subconsciously, because she's already made it clear that, like, despite what everybody said, like, "I still fuck with this man, I still wanna see where this goes." Everybody else outside of her entourage, her community, whatever, already told her, "This man ain't good for you. This guy don't fuck with you," because she's so close with her family, she needs that validation, and she thinks that the only way she's gonna get that is if Cynthia fixes it, and it's
yeah,
just like, "Good luck, Charlie." No, just kidding.
yeah.
Good luck,
Good luck,
ma'am.
Charlie. Yeah, also seeing, Sincere his stepdad's conversation with him solidified a lot of, thoughts that I had on Sincere and the way he moves, and I'm like, people have to remember that Sincere is a D1 athlete, and I'm glad that you brought this up when it came to Anaya and the way
Mhm.
her mom talked to her because I'm like, a lot of the conversation that his stepdad had with, Sincere reminded me a lot of the conversations that coaches have with athletes.
Coaches, yeah.
And I was like, "I don't
Deliberately
believe a single
disappointed.
word you're saying, sir. I think that this is very much giving like, we're trying to
Save face,
fix
save your
save
face.
face." I don't think he means anything, and I think Sincere saying, like, "Yeah," like, it was giving very much, like, athlete mentality. I know what I need to do, and I'm just gonna take it and take the feedback and the criticism and apply it. But in Love Island and when Melanie asked, "How do you think those conversations went?" and he said, "Oh, I don't think it went horrible. I think it was critique, and I don't think it was negative." I'm like, that's his athlete mentality,
Yeah,
and it's
speaking
like, right now,
because then
he's
he
so
still thinks
lost.
he doesn't even, like, I feel like
No,
he's still
I don't think it's that he doesn't recognize it. I think he does, but I think he just doesn't know how to fix it, and he's just saying, "I'm going to fix it." But I'm like, how do you fix something like this in a place
Yeah,
that you have there's no way you can fix it in Love Island. Like, maybe you can fix that outside of it, sure, but that's gonna take a lot of work. So I think when Melanie was like, "Fix it, fix it, fix it," he's like, "How am I gonna fix it in here? Like, it's shit show in here. There's nothing else I can do here." But
not anymore
also,
at least, because he
as
blew
an
every
athlete,
chance
it
he
was
had.
like I think he was disassociating, and I
Yeah,
also think it was coming from, like, "Are you fucking kidding me? Like, this is bullshit," because I'm like, we don't know what his relationship with his stepdad is. We don't know what the stepdad has done in the past. I'm like, to me, it's giving like you're full of crap. Like, as far as
mhm.
Sincere's reaction to the
Demeanor.
stepdad's conversation, it
I
was
did see
giving
the
you're full of shit.
disassociation.
Yeah.
And that was concerning, because it was like, well, was it because of, like, like you said, the athlete side of him that was kinda just like, "Okay, I've already, like, this has been my life this whole past week of, like, me being in, like, the doghouse and this and that, and it's just, like, another iteration of that. What else can I do?" Or if it was just literally, like, him just being like, "Okay, like, again, like, what can I do about it?" Like,
Well,
I
yeah,
don't know, I'm
because
like, "Are you not remorseful?" But I don't know.
no, I don't think it's I don't think it's that he's not remorseful. I do think he feels bad. But my thing with Melanie too, it's like, what do you want? What do you want from him? How do you want him to fix it?
Yeah, and
Because you can't
I
just be
don't
like,
even know
fix
that she
it,
knows what she
because
wants from
he
him.
can apologize. That's not going to fix it according to you. Obviously, he needs to do more. But what do you want? And I'm like, I think Melanie needs doesn't know what she wants either.
Yeah,
So
that's what I'm
it's
saying,
like,
I don't think she knows.
yeah.
I think she wants Sincere to be the type of guy that knows how to fix it without her telling him, and he's just gonna fix it, and it's like, that's delusional, like
Yeah,
you
but
said
that's it,
earlier.
and yeah, that's not how feelings work, and it's like,
Exactly, that's what I'm saying, like, that's
and
delusional.
that's why I'm like, if you are willing to stay with this man, you need to give up whatever fucking happened to this level, you need to forget about it,
At
and you
this
need to
point,
move
that's what
forward.
she's doing by, like, her choosing to stay with this man and seeing where this
But
goes,
she's
like, I
not
know
though, because she says, "You need to
I
fix
know
it," and
that.
I know, but that's what I'm saying, like, she's not doing that, and I'm like, she can't bring this up anymore. I'm like, if you're staying with him, you c whatever he did in the villa is null and void at this point. Like,
Yeah,
even
but I don't think they
after.
both have acknowledged that, where,
Yeah, but
like,
that's why
she's still
even
expecting
after
for him to
she still
fix
chose
it.
him, I'm like,
Yeah.
"You that means that you needed to get over this already because 'cause you're still with him, clearly."
It's almost like
Even
you were
after
talking
what your
about
sister and your
earlier.
mom said, yeah, if you're
It's
still
like
with
what
him, then you have to leave it. It's a blank start, like, you
Yeah,
can't be talking about that anymore.
it's almost like what you well, ideally, that's how you would want people to approach when they go through this huge impasse with their relationships, things get broken, trust gets shit gets weird, but then you chose to stay with them and to move past this. Like, yeah, there has to be an element of letting go of that and not bringing it up if you really want a shot at success in the
Mhm,
outside and a real shot at a relationship. But I think it's like you were talking about earlier with Anaya. It's like, if he's done this, if he's disrespected you and all this, that, and you've tolerated it, then what grounds do you have on, like, still taking it, like, calling him out on his bullshit, or, like, demanding him to fix it when it's like, you've allowed this multiple times and he already knows that you've allowed this. So he's also kind of like, okay, like, but we've moved on. Like, you've been so resilient, like, we're moving on. And she's like, no, you still need to fix this.
yeah.
Yeah. So, well, but like I said, she's exactly where she wants to be, and, like, good luck to them, and
Yeah,
hopefully they can move past it. I do feel for her, but she is the only one that can fix it, honestly.
mhm,
So, like,
yeah,
when she asked him to fix it, it's like, no, girl, you're the one that
you
has the
fix it.
power to fix it. Did you like who, like, the winners and stuff, and, like, the finalists? I know you didn't
Yeah,
like Melanie, and Sincere being a finalist. I guess I would have taken Kenzie and Dylan
I
on
would've
there
taken Kenzie and Dylan
because she
over.
played it. Yeah.
Yeah, I do like Kenzie and Dylan's connection, actually.
I
I see it
actually
lasting? No, but
I felt
I
like
do
Dylan
think that
was
they
on some shit too, like the
well,
whole, like, faking the funk shit too, so I was a little
mhm.
suspect of him,
Well, I do think
but we only got
Dylan,
a few weeks with or days with him,
well,
so.
because he's an actor, so I do think like
Bryce.
Bryce also understands the perception of reality TV, so I do think he was obviously very meta, if you will say. He was very aware as a viewer
Mhm.
also, but
Yeah.
also as a someone who participated. But when it comes to the connection with Kenzie, I do see them complementing each other. And
Mhm.
even if it's just for PR, I think that they would work really well together because I do think they both have a really good mentality of what they want out of this, like, as far as career-wise. Just like Jen and Gal are currently working very well together and really playing off of
Yeah,
how
they're
they.
handling it smart, I think.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I do think if Kenzie and Dylan work it well, they could really make this work for both of them, even if is no longer a
It's just
romantic
a PR
connection there.
yeah, it's just a
Yeah, even
PR
if it's just
couple.
for PR, because at this point, it's like a lot of these are going to be
Everybody's
PR
PRing.
moments. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
to get them really, like, out there and such. Yeah, I think I
Mhm.
did come across a TikTok between Kenzie and Dylan, and they seem to be having fun with each other and
I
stuff,
did like
and
that
very much
Kenzie
so
pulled
smart.
his mom to talk to her. I think that that was really
Mhm.
nice and very actually, I was surprised because I was like, "Wow, like, you really are, like, trying to be serious about this." I was like, I
Yeah,
thought
like,
that
she
was
was like,
nice.
I think when she realized that, like, it was such a big deal for Dylan,
Mm.
and obviously knowing the perception of it all and having his mom come in And I think
Or
because
just
they did hit
the
it off so
how much
well, it's
he
kinda
holds
like
his mom to, like,
that too, yeah.
to him, like, how he mentioned his mom was like, it's like, "Oh, that's cute."
I
Oh,
think that was also a function of her being also like, "Look, sir, we gotta move on from this.
yeah.
You already told me your grievances. I've acknowledged them. I've profusely apologized. I am genuinely sorry. But then
What else
what
can I
can else?" Yeah, and she's like,
and I'm
"What
glad she
else do you
called it
want me to
out.
do?" That's what I'm
Yeah.
saying, like,
And
part
I
of
think
that
Sincere
was
should have done
yeah.
that. That's what Sincere needed to do with Melanie. He's like, "Okay, but what
And
do you want
Melanie would have been
exactly?"
like, "Where do
"Do you
you get
mean
off?"
what do
Asking
you
yeah,
mean?" Yeah.
exactly. Like, "What do you
But it's a
want from
fair
me? It's not
question.
that
It's like
simple. It's not that simple."
I wanna say that Melanie and Sincere are not gonna last outside of the villa. I do think they're gonna break up out because
I don't think
Sincere's
they're
gonna
endgame,
royally yeah,
but
they're
I
not
think times
endgame.
will be wasted.
Yes. I think Zach and Kata could be endgame. I think the only reason they would break up is I if Kata continues to listen to what other people think about their relationship.
Yeah.
I think if she continues to do that, then that's not gonna last
I think
because
they yeah, I think maybe they both need to have a little bit more confidence in themselves
Mhm.
and in their relationship.
Yeah. Trinity and Bryce, that'll be interesting to see how that plays out because of how quickly their
It
relationship
evolved.
has evolved.
So when
Um,
reality sets in, how do they transition out of life in the villa? Yeah.
yeah, especially because of how young, Trinity is. I do want to see how that plays out for her.
I think at the end of the day, a lot of these relationships are gonna fizzle out because of their age. Like these people are still growing. These people are gonna step into an outside world that has been forever changed because now they're sort of famous, right? Now,
Mhm.
like they have all these followers. Now they have all these brand opportunities. In so many ways, their lives can change career wise and everything. And so it's like it's going to be inevitable that these relationships are going to run their course for worse. Like Carl said, because of the impermanence of it, like you are able to lean to it, enjoy it, and genuinely have that connection. And they're just a chapter of your life.
If they do a Beyond the Villa with this cast, would you watch it?
Yeah, I would. I'm very much invested in this cast and I'm curious to see what happens.
I watched last season's Beyond the Villa, it was dumb,
Same.
but I would watch this season's because there's so much open-endedness, even
There
some of
is.
the couples aren't really I feel they're not as closed off as they say they are, so I
Mhm.
would be very much interested to see even, like, Corbin and Parmida, I
Armada.
know
Yeah.
Parmida? Yeah,
Armida, yeah.
like, I thought they made a good couple, but just seeing some of the outside stuff, I'm like, "Ooh, that's
Yeah.
not gonna last," but then
Reality setting in for
if you
them.
bring in Beyond the Villain and put Kenzie in there, or even Melanie and see if there is any further exploration from Corbin, because I would wanna see Melanie and Corbin's exploration because I thought that was a very interesting connection in the beginning, and I think that they did have
They
a
had a
lot
little gumption,
a
yeah.
little, like, moment, like, here and there, so it'd be interesting to see how if that evolves more or, like, what the relationships are now outside of
Yeah.
the villa. So,
Yeah.
we'll
I
see.
would yeah, I would like to see their because I feel like as a cast altogether, whether they were fucking with each other or not, like in connections, I think overall they did have real connections with each other. Like they had a lot of good
Yeah.
interpersonal relationships. So I do
Mhm.
think that they would be a great cast to have a Beyond the Villa with. And to your point, we'll see where these people are at that point, right? And if these
Yeah.
relationships even made it past there, is there any animosity or you know how it always happens where like once people leave the villa, drama starts. Like I think people were saying that like TT had like reposted some negative comment about like Anaya and then she had to go on Instagram to be like, that wasn't me, like that
It
was
was
fake.
AI. And I
Yeah.
was like,
So it's
"Girl."
like the
And
drama's
now
already
Sincere's
unfolding.
family was talking shit about the finale, and I'm like, "You guys just ruined
And they were
any
just
chances
talking
this man had at redemption."
I
Like,
know. And
damn.
that's where it's like, "Oh, so then this was all bullshit." These were his true colors, and it was a
And that's
direct
why I was like and
reflection
I'm
of you
glad I
guys.
didn't believe anything that his dad said because 'cause I'm like, that was giving I'm like, it's giving projection also on his part. I was like,
Yeah.
"Sir, shut up."
First of all, I don't trust anything coming from a man that doesn't have a full set of hair and is pretending to still have a full head. Like, "Sir, just shave it off."
Stop. You're like, "You're
Any
being
man
delusional." I'm sorry. I'm sorry to the bald community. We
community.
love your baldness.
I'm not knocking them down. That I'm telling him to embrace it. I'm telling
Yeah.
him to stop lying to himself and just, like, embrace it. Being bald can be cute, and you can be handsome too. And
Yeah.
I'm sure he probably would be able to work that angle better than whatever he thinks he's working with right now. But
Oh
anyways apologies to the Mr. Clean community. Just kidding.
Hire us, Love Island. We have great ideas. We can be
Yeah,
commentators also
we
for
can
after the
be
villa.
consultants.
Yeah. What is
Be
it? We'll do the
consultants.
Teffy and Sierra thing also. Bitch up after what is it?
After
After Love
sun.
Island? After Sun? Yeah.
Yeah, that's funny. Yeah, we're in need of a job, so and we guess what? Our next summer is fully free. We have not booked anything, so get us
Mhm.
while we're hot.
Yeah. All right, everyone. Hope
Bye,
you guys
guys.
have a great weekend and see you on the next episode.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.